you have the cards. There's one of those lovely graphics that they've put together, and it's the right size as well. Last week they did these graphics and it was a bit too small. This week it's a proper size graphic. So let's have a look, shall we, and see what we've got in store. We'll run down the card and then we'll jump into the chat and start saying hello to people. So MJF is taking on Samoa Joe in a match that I am genuinely looking forward to. I really like Samoa Joe. I don't mind MJF, but Samoa Joe is just always someone I've been waiting for us to actually make a move with. And in WWE as well, I was waiting for Joe to Joe was kind of a bit like Kevin Owens in the sense of he was kind of being used, but he was not finding his way towards world titles. Kevin Owens has got there briefly in the past, but a long time in the past. It's been a long time since Kevin Owens has been around a world title. And the same was like with Samoa Joe. He's big, he's imposing, he looks the part, he sounds the part. You can't fault his wrestling, you can't fault his promo. Maybe it's the look, but I think he's got a great look as well. I think he looks like a monster. But yeah, for whatever reason in WWE, he just never was around that kind of main event scene. I think he has like a main event against, was it Brock at Great Balls of Fire? But other than that, like, he just wasn't around the picture that I wanted him to be around. And same in AEW, he's been like away from the title scene. So to see him get a shot here, I'm genuinely excited for. So I expect him to lose, but I'm still looking forward to the match. Then we got Claudio against Eddie Kingston. I mean, to be honest, these two, this is just great wrestling. It's just great wrestling. You've got two people that have absolutely convinced me they don't like each other. And I honestly don't know the truth. They could be the best of friends outside of wrestling. But this hatred has been there for so long. This feud has been there for so long that if it turned out they genuinely don't like each other, I wouldn't be surprised. So this is two people that have convinced me they don't like each other in a match against each other. I believe it's title versus title. That's going to be really interesting. Like, that's just great professional wrestling right there. Then we've got Chris Jericho against Sammy Guevara. Last week, the promo did a fantastic job of selling me on this match. I'll got to admit, I wasn't really bothered. But then I think, like, Jericho was saying to Sammy, like, you've got to beat me. You've got to step out my shadow. Like, you do need this win. This is important. And Sammy was talking about how he's come a long way, how he's not the Sammy that he was in the past. And, like, they did a good job of making this match feel like it wasn't just a match. Like, there is some at stake here. Like, Sammy needs to prove that he is learning, developing, evolving, and that he can beat someone like Chris Jericho. Now, he should be able to, because, you know, Jericho's not the same performer, wrestler that he was going back, 3 years, 5 years. We can see that there's a decline there, but he's still a good test. He's still a good barometer, and Sammy should be able to pass it. So I think Sammy wins, but there's every chance that, like, Jericho cheats or something. I don't know. There could be a swerve there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Saraya against Toni Storm. I really like Toni Storm. Genuinely, I think that she's doing some really fun stuff at the moment when she's doing this Hollywood blonde, kind of Marilyn Monroe, like coming down. She's a thespian, and she's very dramatic. And she started throwing a shoe, and I'm not too sure why, but I find her very watchable at the moment. Obviously, seen a lot of Toni Storm because she used to be in NXT UK. Then they used her in NXT. She did have a brief spell on WWE's main roster. Now she's been in AEW for a while. So we've been watching Toni Storm for a good few years. And this, honestly, is amongst the most engaging I think I've ever found her. So loving what she's doing at the moment. So I'm into that. And there's a few thoughts that Mercedes could make her presence felt in this match. We saw Mercedes at Wembley. So it feels like she's coming in. And so she could come in here. In regards to surprises, I think it's a bit difficult to know who we might get because there's just not really many big names out there. But Mercedes is one that feels like she could make her presence felt. And then the last match is Jon Moxley against Rey Fenix. Look, Jon Moxley's got his fans. Rey Fenix has got his fans. That is not a match for me. There is nothing about that I'm excited about. The only thing I would say is that if you're going to watch Jon Moxley, you know that it's going to be hard hitting. You know, there's going to be like violence. There's going to be bloods. That's about all I can say. To be honest, there's not really much else. I don't think he's a great wrestler. I don't find his matches to be that exhilarating. I don't find them to be that edge of the seat gripping or anything along those lines. Rey Fenix is, you know, guilty of doing every move under the sun and not really selling a great deal. So, yeah, that one is just not for me. But I would say of having 5 matches announced, and having 4 of them be ones that you could genuinely say, like, yeah, I am really looking forward to that. I'm like, come on, that's good. That's good. Like, that would be strong enough for, if I wasn't streaming, like, me really being tempted to go to that show. Because if I was in the New York area, if I was around Arthur Ashe, and I think tickets went down to, like, $15 or something. So, like, 5 matches announced, 4 of them I'm engaged with. I would have gone. I would have gone. I would have bought a ticket. I would have gone. If I wasn't streaming and I lived in New York. Unfortunately, I don't live in New York or around that area, and I am also streaming. So, when I say that I'm looking forward to this show, like, I'm not lying. I'm not making it up. I'm not trying to hype the show for the sake of hyping the show. Like, genuinely, that's how I feel about those matches. So, should be a good stream, man. Should be a good stream. Should be a good show. And we'll get people's thoughts. I am jumping into the chat, but we did ask a question in the chat. Who leaves as AEW Women's Champion? Who leaves as AEW Women's Champion? I've got to admit, I'm a little bit surprised at the result. 66% of you so far have said that Saraya leaves as the Women's Champion so far. So, there we go. Saraya. We'll keep an eye on that situation. But you lot are saying that Saraya is going to be leaving as the Women's Champion. Hello. Alex has sent me a little thing. What's going on here? A few weeks ago, WWE terminated Panini for breach of contract with over 2 years left. WWE says Panini, which is still selling product, is now in violation and will seek an injunction. Fanatics, who had a deal starting in 2026, is expected to get the rights immediately. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. So Panini have, for some reason, breached their contract with WWE. And so now WWE are not working with them and they're going to... Does that mean that, like, Panini WWE cards are going to go up in value? Because there's not going to have been that many of them out there. Tell you what, guys, jump on those Panini cards. I would, if you can find some packs out there, probably not the worst idea to be buying a few WWE Panini cards right now because, according to Wrestle Ops, and a big thank you to Alex Bloomfields, it looks like they've terminated the deal with them, and now they're moving on to Fanatics, who were gonna take over in 2026. So that is interesting. And also, a much Ryder, shout out to you. We've had numbers come in for NXT, much bigger than I was expecting. I said it won't do what it did last week. There'll obviously be a decline. I'm expecting it to be in the 700s, right? It's come out at 824, so there is the decline because last week it was 850. Now it's come 824, but it did not decline as much as I was expecting. It did not decline as much as I was expecting at all. So, brilliant. I mean, brilliant. What else can you say? Absolutely brilliant for NXT. I think even NXT would have expected a decline because last week it was Becky going for the title, right? Actually going for the title and winning it and standing tall and all of that stuff. Like, you've seen that moment. So, like, I think people then will, not as many people will stick around to see what she does after. But to only lose like 26,000 people, and for 824,000 to still want to see what's going to happen is pretty impressive, isn't it? It's pretty impressive. So another week, another monster number for NXT, but I wouldn't expect NXT to beat tonight. I mean, tonight's a big card. It's a big night for AEW. Let's see what they can do. Wrestle with Andy, hello, shout out to you, says, now that AEW's been around for half a decade, who do you think the GOAT of the promotion is? I would go Jon Moxley because of how reliable he is. The GOAT of the promotion. The GOAT of the promotion. That's hard. I mean, that's hard. It's hard because there's a few names that come to mind, first of all. I mean, the first name that came to my mind wasn't Jon Moxley. First name, if I'm going to be brutally honest, that came to my mind was MJF. But I don't think that's the correct answer, because MJF has been on a journey and unfortunately started from a low base, basically. And then, has kind of worked his way up to being champion. Watching that journey, though, and seeing him when he started out being, the sidekick to Cody, to now being a heel, now he's a face again, but being the champion, that's, he's definitely been their biggest homegrown talent. I think we can agree on that. But the GOAT's a little tricky because he did start quite low at the start. So I feel like you do need someone like a Moxley that came in quite high and, has kind of stayed at that level. I might counter the Jon Moxley pick with a Chris Jericho, just because Jericho was doing things like the Jericho Cruise, which we were having shows on the Jericho Cruise, and he's been responsible for the Inner Circle, and then he was responsible for the Jericho Appreciation Society. And he's been responsible for singles matches, the Mimosa match with Orange Cassidy going back in the day. He's been ever present as well. And you think about how crazy over Judas is, and how people love singing that. So I might counter a Moxley with a Jericho. You could make an argument maybe for Kenny Omega because of him being in the Elite, and the Elite being the reason as to why this company started. And when AEW first started, I think the one name that everyone was waiting to hear confirmed and was signed was Kenny Omega. That was the one that everyone wanted to know, is he fully signed up as well? And I remember that being a key thing of watching those press conferences when AEW first started and just waiting for Kenny to come out. And of course they made a big deal of it when he finally did announce that he had signed and he was a part of it. They kind of made that a whole separate thing. Whether, though, because of his injuries, and he has had injuries and inactivity and whatever, maybe that limits his facts, his chance of being in the conversation. I could understand that. So that would be another name that comes to mind. But on reflection, I could understand why we didn't go that way. Could you make an argument again for CM Punk? That's a hard argument to make, I think. But I think that AEW does go to a different level as soon as he joins. So even though he's not around at the start, things just drastically change when CM Punk comes in. There is a definite change, a definite impact that CM Punk has. But again, was he around long enough? But if you look at the list of achievements, I mean, he was champ. He was responsible for their first $1 million gate. He was main event in their key shows. But then, is that all soured because of what's happened recently? And of course, now he's gone. And was he there long enough to be the GOAT? But then saying that, look at Stone Cold. I mean, Stone Cold is regarded by many people as the GOAT of WWE. But I mean, he was faffing around being the ringmaster in the mid-90s. And then finally, he becomes Stone Cold Steve Austin, 316, all of that kind of stuff. But that run from when he becomes that to when he has his last match or was his last match at like WrestleMania 19. That's not that long a run, you know. So sometimes it's not about how long you have been there, but about the impact you had whilst you were there. And it's undeniable the impact that CM Punk had. So that's undeniable. So maybe he does belong in the conversation. But if I had to nail it down, I think that I would match your Jon Moxley with a Chris Jericho. But it's such a good conversation. I really, it's a real thinker. That it's a real thing. There'll be some people that might go for like a Hangman, and there might be some that go Tony Khan. Tony Khan's the GOAT. That's probably the correct answer. Tony Khan's the GOAT of AEW. There might be some that I don't know if anyone would argue for Britt Baker, to be honest. I don't think anyone would argue for Britt Baker. I'm trying to think if there's any other big obvious names that I'm forgetting. Could Punk still sue AEW and Tony Khan? I think he said he's got no plans to do that. Yeah, and actually, Christopher said he's got no plans to do that. Cody, but again, wasn't there long, but was a big part of the start of it, wasn't he? Cody. I mean, Cody had that show with Roads to the Top and everything as well. So not only was he doing stuff on the show, but he was advertising the show outside the show. Wasn't he a judge on some show? And he had his own reality show. And, you know, he was one of the biggest stars. But again, he lost that match, didn't he? Which then meant that he couldn't compete for the title, which sort of handcuffed like how much he could really contribute. In retrospect, I understand why they did that, but in retrospect, it was a bit of a silly idea, wasn't it? It was a bit of a silly thing to do, to kind of handcuff him and not allow him to be able to compete for the title. But yeah, really fun question. I really like it. Let me share the link. RJ City as well, by the way. RJ City was in WWE, which I had no idea about. I was on the network earlier, and I saw that he did a WrestleMania late night show where he was talking to Liv and Ruby, and he was talking to Billie Kay, and like around that time that they were all in WWE, you know, Billie Kay doing her resume thing. RJ City did like a late night sort of show. I don't know how often he did it. I don't remember ever seeing it. In fact, I'll go on record say until today I'd never seen it. And I still didn't watch all of it. But it was him just sat there. It felt very locked down. You could see that Ruby and Liv were in their houses. So was Billie Kay. So it felt like it was from that maybe that time period of Thunderdome, lockdown, pandemic. And so, you know, putting out some extra content, quick, easy to make. It had that sort of vibe to it. And I had no idea. I didn't realize that he'd done stuff with WWE. Like around that time on the network and everything. Stoner said, do you think Dolph Ziggler will debut tonight? There are rumors his contract has expired from WWE. I think that Dolph could go to AEW, but I haven't heard anything about his contract expiring. So if his contract has expired and he is free, then yeah, you know, and he's free to do it, then yeah. But am I expecting it? No, I'm not expecting it. The only one that I'm really thinking has got a chance is Mercedes. But I mean, Dolph, it's just been radio silence, to be honest. If I go into Dolph Ziggler, the wrestling world is buzzing with anticipation of Dolph Ziggler's arrival to AEW. Okay, so gorgeous Ryan Nemeth, who is his brother, has put a picture of both of them on social media with the emojis, the blood emoji, and then a egg timer. So added fuel to the fire with a cryptic post. He shared it on Twitter of him and himself and Dolph holding some of AEW's most prestigious championships. And can I bring that on screen so that I don't have to explain it? I can just show it. I can do anything. We can do that. We can absolutely do that. we go. So it remains to be seen whether Ziggler will leave WWE or if Ryan is just playing around with fans. I mean, you if you've been watching this channel for a while, you'll know my take on it. Is that if something like this gets teased on social media, I don't buy it. I just do not buy it. So yeah, that is definitely one I'll believe when I see. But that was a message from a couple of days ago. From Dolph Ziggler's brother. Just teasing the potential arrival. But the reason why, I wouldn't believe, well, it could happen, but the reason why I wouldn't believe it is there's been no talk about his contract, Dolph's contract. So certainly it could have been expiring in the background and one of those things that no one's noticed. But of course you would do something like that to get people talking because you want to promote the show. You want people to watch the show tonight. You want people to know that something big's happening in AEW this week. It's Arthur Ashe Stadium. It's Dynamite Grand Slam. So, if I was Tony Khan, those are the kind of messages I'd be wanting my roster to send out. Anything that's going to get people talking about AEW, speculating about AEW, more importantly, tuning into AEW. And those kind of cryptic messages can obviously assist with that. So we've seen it just so many times in the past where things like that have been sent out and they haven't led to anything. But it's not one that I think is impossible because I think Dolph has been badly used in WWE for a long, 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 long time. And he is someone that people know who he is. He was getting crazy support around that kind of 2014 time. And I mean, his cash-in is still maybe my favorite cash. In fact, it is. It's my favorite cash-in. I don't think I've ever seen a cash-in that was better than Dolph Ziggler's. And I include Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31. I think Dolph Ziggler's was better. And I really was there with him. I really did. But but they never capitalized on it. They never pulled the trigger on Dolph Ziggler. It's really frustrating. They had him kind of around the titles, and he did win, obviously cash in successfully, but he didn't carry that title for all that long. And then it just drifted away. And past few years, I mean, you could say past 4 years, 5 years. I mean, Dirty Dogs and all that kind of stuff. He did go down to NXT and win the NXT title, but I mean, main roster wise, it's just been horrific for him. So yeah, I could understand as to why he would want to go. I could understand why, he would feel that he's got a lot more to give. And so go into AEW and showing off, being the show off and showing what he can do. And he can wrestle as well. He can go. He would be a good addition in the sense of he's got a little bit of name value. He can wrestle, he can work, he can cut promos. His brother's there as well, so you could always put him as a tag team if him as a solo star for whatever reason didn't quite work out. But you could use him as a solo, you could use him in a tag team. He's got experience. There's a little bit of name recognition there. He would be a good player to bring in. I don't think he would do anything for ratings. I think you'd get a little bump, but I think eventually it would settle back down again. Very much like we've seen with pretty much everyone else that's been brought in. Alistair Black got brought in. He doesn't do anything for ratings now. Miro, Andrade, Saraya. We can't get Dynamite to 1 million. And that's with Ruby Soho and all these people that have come in from WWE. And I think Dolph Ziggler would be another example of that, where you would get that boost in ratings, but it would very quickly then settle back down. So I wouldn't expect him to be a game changer. Let's put it that way. I think that he'd just be a solid, steady hand to have on the roster. He'd just be a good person to have around that's got experience and could maybe work. I mean, him against Ricky Starks, that could be a great match, man. That could be a great match. Him against his brother, him against Sammy Guevara. There's definitely him against Darby Allin. There's definitely a few interesting matches that you could do there. So I would definitely welcome it. I would definitely welcome it if he did come over, but I can't say I'm expecting it. Real Kyle said the rumor has it that Mandy could debut tonight. Kevin said, do you think AEW's attendance is dwindling? I think it is, but I feel sorry for them. I think that this is hard, and I think that there are some, not all, and I'm not saying any of you, but I'm saying there are some wrestling fans out there that I don't think appreciate how hard this is. Like, you've got key markets in America, and then you've got like other areas that will do so. Well, you are gonna go to those key markets on a fairly regular basis. Look at WWE. Like, we hit Florida, we hit Boston, we hit California, we hit Philadelphia, like we hit New York. Like there's certain places, Texas, New Orleans. You hit these key hubs, right? And you are gonna be using the big key hubs quite a lot if you're AEW. And the problem is that, like, familiarity, like if someone paid to go and see you 6 months ago, how are they going to pay to come and see you again like 6 months later? All of a sudden, it really starts to become not about, oh, should we go and see AEW? I love that show. Like, I'd love to see those guys. Like that works for the first few times. Yeah, it'll be a fun night out type thing. But after they've been around a few times, and they'll be around again in 6 months or whatever, all of a sudden then it starts to become like more about what the story is and like how engaged the actual current product is. And every product has ups and downs. Every product has got good and bad moments. You've only got to look at Raw at the moment, which I think has had a good little period now of just kind of chugging along, bobbing along. We were talking, someone said the other day, apparently, was it Big Time? Someone said about USA Network have said they want some SmackDown stars over. They want something to respond to the 1.3 million rating Raw's getting, because that's not acceptable, and they want to see a reaction. And there didn't seem to be a reaction on this week's show. And as a result, did I see Raw's ratings this week, actually? I don't know if I saw what Raw did this week. What was Raw's rating this week? Did I see that news? Raw rating. I feel like I did, and I feel like it was low again. And we said, of course, it was low again because there was nothing different. Raw averaged 1.33. That's down 2% from the week before, so it dropped even a little bit lower. So now I'm looking at it. I think we did see. So that's 2 1.3s in a row for Raw. And all of a sudden now, apparently USA are like, you got to do something about this. And I don't know why WWE didn't do something on Monday, unless they thought it was just a blip, a one-off, and now they know it's not a blip and it's not a one-off. So it's hard. I mean, Raw is finding it hard at the moment, and WWE needs to try and respond. The problem that AEW have got is that they obviously don't have the access to the kind of star power that WWE has got access to. AEW is obviously for a long time been starved of names. We've said, who could they go and get? Who's actually out there? We're talking about like potentially a surprise tonight of Dolph Ziggler, who would only be available because WWE have allowed his contract to expire. And I don't even know if his contract has expired. They might have offered him another deal, and Triple H might have said to him, like, look, I will use you in some sort of story going forward. I will make sure that you get a story and we use you, and you won't just be sat in catering. And he might have re-signed. I don't know if his contract was expiring. I have no idea where we are with Dolph Ziggler's contract. But that's the sort of person we're talking about potentially might come in as a surprise for AEW. Like, we ain't talking about The Rock, like we just saw on Friday for WWE. We ain't talking about John Cena, right? We ain't talking about Stone Colds. Obviously, they've got access to Triple H whenever they want. They've got access to Shawn Michaels whenever they want. I think they've locked down Bret Hart as well. They've got access to Undertaker whenever they want, Hogan whenever they want, Ric Flair whenever they want. AEW just don't have access to these people. So it's hard. It is very, very difficult. Like, the pressure on AEW to be telling really good stories and putting on like really good shows, I would say is greater than the pressure on WWE, because WWE can always just go and get one of those stars and just spike the ratings. And hopefully just like when you spike the ratings, it might just go back to where it was the next week. But it is a little bit like those pads that you put on a heart and you give it a bit of a jolt, you know? Chances are it might not go back quite as low. Like if you did a 1-3 and then you bring in The Rock, the next week it might go down to 1-5, right? It might spike it to like a 1-8, 1-9, but it might not go straight back down to a 1-3 because you might have just woken up a few fans back to that this is what's happening on the current product at the moment. A little bit like what we've just seen with NXT. So they dropped Becky down in NXT. That spiked the rating. Yeah, they kept her around this week as well, but it wasn't really the strongest thing we did with her. She was just in a tag match in the main event, but it still delivered another 800,000, which is mental. So it's difficult for AEW. I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, we'll just book good stories. And that's an easy thing to say. I'm sure they are trying to do that. I'm sure that's exactly what they're trying to do. And yeah, you know, I think Toni has got it wrong on plenty of occasions, but it doesn't stop it being difficult. There's been plenty of things in the past that I've seen that I thought has been good that has not resulted in like good ratings. You know, sometimes you can do good things, good moments, good stories, good character developments, and not get the result, seemingly not get the result. So it is. I do feel for him. I think trying to get ratings, trying to sell tickets, it's a hard business. It's a hard business. Much easier to fail than to succeed. Much easier to fail. So I think their numbers are dwindling. I think that it is hard. I cut them slack because it is difficult. Watching as to how they turn it around is one of the main reasons why I watch AEW. I want to watching what they do. I mean, I have watched this promotion, and what a gift. I've said this before. What a gift for us to be able to watch a billionaire family start a wrestling company from scratch, out of nowhere, right? Didn't take over a wrestling company and change the name, just started it from out of scratch. Yeah, no one had heard of AEW before. They started out of scratch. We looked at the roster they had at the start. We saw the shows that they've been producing. We've seen how they've brought in big names. We've seen how that's responded to the ratings. We've seen what good storylines can do for ratings. We've seen good episodes, bad episodes. We've seen the CM Punk drama. We've seen all of this stuff play out. And we've seen what it's done to ratings. That data that AEW has kind of given us as fans and given WWE and given themselves is like invaluable. You know, there are companies that like try to get people's data so that they know what people are buying and what they're searching for on the web and all that kind of stuff, because that is very useful to companies. Well, the kind of data that AEW has given us all is very useful to wrestling fans. And it's been a real gift that we've had the ability to see them try stuff and sometimes succeed, and then try stuff and sometimes fail. So it is just fascinating to watch this company as it goes on its journey. And I have no idea where it's going, if it's gonna hit something that's gonna take it to the top, or if it's just gonna continue to like sink down, or maybe it just does enough to just keep plateauing in the middle. But what a gift to be able to watch this right now and see as to, like, you know, what is possible in 2023. If you just created a wrestling way that they've brought talent in, the way that they've booked different champions, just different things that they've done, and how it has responded in the ratings. It's fascinating. I mean, you have people like Jim Cornette that will just sit there and talk about ratings each week and talk about, like, okay, so 15-minute breakdowns, this is what happened here. Seems like they gained some people here. I probably don't go into it in that much detail, because I think sometimes if you get too in the weeds, you can start drawing some wrong conclusions. Sometimes you have to look a little bit bigger picture. But yeah, it's all good. It's all fascinating. Kian said, Days, I hope you're well and having a good day. Did you see the comments on the video of Randy returning at the PC? And do you think Vince had something to do with Tegan not on TV? I don't think Vince has anything to do with Tegan not being on TV. Only because I have no idea why Vince would stop that. Why would Vince care about that? I don't know if there was an injury or she's got an illness or I don't know. I haven't seen the reason as to why she was pulled, but no, I don't expect that to be Vince. I honestly don't know why would Vince want to change that. What about that would Vince be like? No, we ain't doing that match. Like, unless he just really hates Tegan Knox. Unless he's just like, no, I can't stand that girl. I don't know why she's here. But I mean, like, for me, if Vince is going to be getting involved, like, he's going to be looking at the overall show. He's going to be looking at, like, what we're doing with Cody, right? What are we doing with Cody? What are we doing with Jey Uso? Stuff like that. Big picture, the stuff that, you know, this company is being driven forward with. Not look at, like, who's going to answer Becky's open challenge for the NXT title that she ain't losing anyway. Like, that to me would be so just unimportant. Just wouldn't matter. I mean, like, of all the things to look at on a Raw rundown, I've got to think that's, like, down here. Like, who cares? Who cares? Who cares who she's defending against? She was never losing it. I never thought she was losing it. And so, I don't know. I put it more down to the fact that it was like an illness, or she, like, during a warm-up pulled something as she was, like, getting ready backstage, and she, like, just tweaked something. We know that she's had a lot of injuries in her knees or whatever, you know. If it turns out that she was stretching and something just, like, went a bit awry, and she was like, it just doesn't feel good. And they're like, okay, right, well, we ain't running the risk. We'll get Natty in instead. So, again, I've not seen any words on that, but what a petty thing for Vince to get involved with, if he has. Big if. I haven't seen anything on that. And in regards to, did you see the comments of Randy returning? I didn't see the comments, but I saw the footage. And I do appreciate people telling me about it. It seemed to break whilst we were streaming. And my first reaction is my honest reaction, which is, I don't know what it means. I mean, him going to the Performance Center, we know there's been tryouts there. Like, Jade Cargill's been there. There's been a few other people that have been going to the Performance Center recently for tryouts. So, in my first opinion was, yeah, sure, he could be working his way towards trying to return. Doctors apparently told him that they weren't sure that he would ever be able to return, or that it wasn't wise to return. And so it could be that he's gone to the Performance Center to work with WWE's medical team and work with the trainers down there to kind of gauge where he is and if a return's possible, right? So it could be that we're doing a bit of work to see, can we get him back, right? It could be we're doing some work because he's decided he is coming back, and that's the one everyone hopes it's going to be. But it also could be that because of these tryouts, they've given Randy a call and said, look, if you want to come down and, like, you know, do a bit of working out at our Performance Center rather than just going to a gym, hang out with some of the talent, pass on some of your knowledge, do a bit of training with the guys. But also, we've got these tryouts, have a little look, see what you think. Come down to the Performance Center. And he's gone, well, do you know what? That sounds better than sitting at home. So, yeah, I'll come down for a bit and I'll do some of that. Again, nothing to do with, like, him potentially returning. So, it you know, there's quite a few different things that it might actually turn out to be. The one that everyone's hoping is that it's him working out because he's decided he's coming back. WWE have cleared him. It's happening. We're just building towards it. But there's no word as to what it actually is at this stage, because obviously he's just, all it is he's been seen going into, he's been seen entering the facility, and that's all we know. Oh, man, I've got a collection of coffee cups here. I need to get rid of them. Aaron, shout out to you. Says, I know a lot of people don't like AEW. I know a lot of people don't like AEW, but I've been enjoying the MJF Adam Cole story, Orange Cassidy's title run, and Ricky Stark's Bullet Club Gold. Well, Aaron, my words to you would be that I think you don't anyway, and you're absolutely right to not care or pay attention to what other people are saying about things that you enjoy. The wrestling is, and it's not just people's opinion on AEW, it's people's opinion on anything and everything. Pretty much anything in wrestling is going to have people on a full spectrum of differing opinions. My opinion will obviously always fall on that spectrum somewhere, as will everyone else that's joining us. And none of us will ever be aligned on every single issue. And so when it comes to like how much that you enjoy AEW or what you get out of AEW, like you do you. And it's the same with everyone else out there that's like an AEW fan at the moment, or even if you're not an AEW fan, like don't feel that pressure that you should be, right? Because it just might not be for you. You might be watching it going, this just isn't what I'm looking for. It is crazy to me how there are people that hate AEW, but then like watch it. Like I've struggled. I will admit I've struggled. The products I really have like been looking for a long time to try and find something to hang my hat on. What I find is that there's always either one or two things that I'm looking forward to, like Bryan Danielson or Jamie Hayter. I've had nothing but praise for those guys. The Bullet Club Gold stuff I've really enjoyed. Samoa Joe, I know I just don't see him enough, but Samoa Joe is someone that I've always enjoyed watching his matches. Kenny Omega solo matches as well, Kenny Omega singles matches. We've always had praise for those. There's Christian. I enjoy Christian's work. Like I've always had the ability to go, well, even though the overall product is not for me, or I'm really struggling with it, I do like that thing, and I do like that thing, and I do like that thing, and there's always enough that just keeps me around, right? If ever it got to the point where there was nothing on the show that I could find, and it was that way for a little while, I would stop the streams. I would stop doing the streams. I don't have any interest in watching the show if there was nothing there for me, right? But the reason why we keep going is because on those weeks where I really have struggled to find something, there's always been a Wembley down the road, right? There's always been some big shiny thing that we're working our way towards that you look at it and you go, do you know what? That's got to be good, right? That's got to be good. That's got to be like worth watching. So for me, like there's always either been a few things or something big on the horizon. But I think there are people out there that just don't even have that. And there's nothing about it that they enjoy. And they just don't care about, like, what do I care about a big AEW show when I hate AEW? So they're not interested in that either. And those are the kind of people I don't quite get why they watch the show, because it's a bit like saying that you hate jazz, but then constantly go into a jazz cafe and just constantly still saying I hate jazz. Like, I don't get that. Don't get that. I feel what I do is I go to the jazz cafe and I listen to a lot of stuff that I don't enjoy, but there are a few performers that I really do enjoy, and that makes it worth me going. That's my relationship with AEW. That's, in a nutshell, that's how it is. I go along, and quite often the shows are overall just not what I'm looking for, but there are definitely some. I mean, I really rate Jamie Hayter. I really enjoy watching Jamie Hayter. I think she is a brilliant female wrestler. I think she is one of the absolute best female wrestlers out there right now. If we were to do like a power ranking, I would really be pushing for Jamie Hayter. Easy top 5 in the world right now that I watch. I really enjoy her work. I really enjoy Bryan Danielson, and even now, like more so that he's kind of being leaned on a little bit more out of Blackpool Combat Club. Like that definitely has my attention. Like Danielson away from Blackpool, I thought his strap match was great. I thought that it was against Ricky Starks, wasn't it? It's recently. I thought that was really good to his singles match. So, you know, and of course Kenny, as we keep saying and whatever. I don't need to go down this list again. And the Acclaimed have been a lot of fun recently. I sort of feel like that might have run its course. What I'm waiting for is some banging Acclaimed matches. I want to see the Acclaimed in some banging, like, ideally tag matches. I think them with Billy Gunn is fun, but I miss the tag matches that they were having with Swerve. Oh, I love Swerve. Swerve's good. Swerve's another one that I will tune in for. I'll watch Swerve. I like Swerve a lot. He's got a good swagger, man. Good swagger. Swerve just standing there looking like a flip, like he just doesn't give a flip. And he's just standing there and he looks in that long jacket and everything, and he just looks so cool. He really looks good. Yeah, Swerve. I forgot about Swerve. There's another jazz performer I enjoy, Swerve. So, yeah, you do you, man. You do you. So, Aaron says he enjoys the MJF Adam Cole story, is enjoying Orange Cassidy's title run, or enjoyed it because it's ended now. Ricky Starks and Bullet Club Gold. Aaron, shout out to you, my friends. I hope you enjoy the action tonight. Jim said, breaking news, Triple H and WWE creative team rejected Becky Lynch's request to face Tegan Nox on Raw. Has that come out? Like, because I've not seen anything on Tegan Nox. I think a lot of people would like to, 11 hours ago. It was previously reported that Tegan Nox was originally slated. We're told that the decision was made not to have the match. This was the case. It's the first time it's been defended. The feeling it was enhanced the brand move veteran. It's on the show, but it's main event taping. Tegan Nox hasn't been on Raw, working on the main event scene. Okay. Well, they're saying that. So this is from Steve Carrier, who said Tegan Nox was supposed to get a WWE NXT women's title shot, but the plans were changed. We were told that Vince made the change because the division was made not to have a title match involving someone who has been off TV for a while. I need to understand this. I don't even understand this. The decision was made not to have a title match involve it. Okay, so according to Steve Carrier, who does he represent? Ringside News. Take that however you want to take that. But Ringside News are saying that Vince made the decision because they didn't want to have a title match involving someone that's been off TV for a while. Okay, if that's the word on the street. I mean, I think it's petty if Vince has took Tegan Nox off, because who cares? Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like we see flipping Natalia like week in, week out. Is it Natalia? It's not someone that's gonna do anything for ratings or whatever. So, I don't know. That's what Ringside News are reporting. So, let's have a look at Cultaholic. Are they saying the same thing? They are. They've probably got it from Ringside. This is welcome to wrestling in 2023. So I've just read that from Ringside News. Better Wrestling Experience are reporting that Natalia was booked to face Lynch as a token of appreciation for her recent hard work. So apparently they put Natalia in. Maybe both could be true, to be honest. Maybe it's a case that's like they said, let's not use Tegan because she hasn't been on TV and we don't want to use someone that's not been on TV. Don't know why you would say that or why you would do that. And so they replaced it with Natalia because she's been doing some hard work recently for them. I heard there was a lot of praise for Natalia because of the India show. So that would add up. There was no signals changes, blah, 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 blah. Well, Make of that whatever you will. Big Time said, you say AEW is starved for big names to try and generate some buzz, but they've signed a lot of big WWE names. Maybe not recently, but compared to WWE that's only got Cody and Jade. Yeah, but WWE have got a lot of the big names, haven't they? I mean, I think if you're comparing, like, well, WWE got Cody and Jade from AEW, it's not really WWE that need big names, not when they can call on John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kurt Angle. I mean, like AEW don't have that ability. They don't have that ability. And what do you class as a big name? I mean, they've gone and signed the likes of Andrade and Miro and people like that, but are they big names? I mean, they're not in the same bracket as the names that I just mentioned. So I sort of feel like AEW, they don't have the ability to call on those big superstar names that I just mentioned. They are having to sign people that have just been, like a Dolph Ziggler, who for years and years now has done nothing. I mean, he's struggling to get onto TV. So even if they sign Dolph Ziggler, like, is that a big name? Like, in 2023, is that a big name? Like, that to me is someone that has just bobbed around the mid-card. There's a lot of people that watch wrestling for the first time, and we said this yesterday, I think it was, like 2 years is a long time in wrestling. It's a long time because you have got a constant churn of fans coming in and fans going out of wrestling. There's a constant turnover of people that are like, nah, I'm done, I'm moving on, I've got kids, I'm, selling the figures, whatever. That's happening all the time. And then you've also got people like kids that are coming along that are discovering wrestling for the first time. A Dolph Ziggler in 2023, like, how electrifying is that going to be? Like, I would argue not very. I would argue that if Dolph's on, your hardcore wrestling fans, that number of, I don't even know what the number is, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, that kind of core, hardcore wrestling fan group that have just loved it and followed it for years and years and years, just consume as much as they can. That group might be excited by it, but that ain't a number that's, I think, going to really do much for AEW's ratings. I think there'd be a bit of chatter. I think there'd be a bit of interest. I think you fast forward a few weeks to a month, I think it goes right back down to where it was. So, like, a Cody Rhodes is obviously one of their big names. It was one of their big names. It was someone that was like a Jericho. It was someone that was like a Kenny Omega. That was a big start to go in the other direction for AEW. That was a big loss. I don't know. I mean, they've invested a lot in Jade Cargill, but Jade Cargill, I don't think is... The idea that Jade is too big to go to NXT is ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. I couldn't even begin to get my head around that argument. Not when we've seen the likes of Finn Balor and Nakamura and Drew McIntyre return and go to NXT. The idea that Jade Cargill is too big to go to NXT is ridiculous. So, yeah, I don't know. Jade Cargill, I would struggle to make the argument that she's like a massive star. I mean, she was on Rampage, I believe, and I think Rampage's rating came out like the lowest for God knows how long. Like, she ain't done nothing for ratings. You can make the argument maybe it's because everyone knew she was leaving and she weren't winning the title, so it made the match redundant. That'd be a fair argument to make. But, yeah, I think that, like, WWE have got access to like 60, how many years? I mean, you're going back to the 60s. So it is like 60 years of superstars. Sadly, we've lost a lot. And there's a lot that are in ill health. And there's a lot that wouldn't really hit in 2023. But they've still got access to 60 years of stars that they've built up. Whereas AEW just don't have that. They don't have that history. For them to, like, they have to go and try and bring in, like, a Greg the Hammer Valentine and sit him in the stands. They have to go and get, like, an Arn Anderson and put him with Cody. They have to get a Sting, like legends that they didn't build but are outside of the WWE bubble that they can use for a bit of star power. They went and got a Jake the Snake and put him with Lance Archer. They go and get these people to just try and raise the star power, to try and get a bit of buzz going, because obviously they don't have any history whatsoever. They've literally started from nothing. So yeah, I think it is difficult. I think, like, again, if you're looking around right now for big names, I mean, the kind of names we're talking about are Dolph Ziggler, Mercedes, and Goldberg. Those are the current big names. And AJ Lee, that would be impossible now, because of what happened with CM Punk. I can't see him getting AJ Lee. So yeah, there's just not those names out there for them, is there? It's just not those names for them to go and get. Jade needs NXT, said Alistair, but I don't think she's past her green stage. She has a lot to improve on between the ropes. She has it and a ton of potential. There's no need to rush her to Mondays or Fridays. Ian said, in your opinion, would you like to see Cena Orton? I think Cena would like to end his career against Randy in one last match to end their historic rivalry. Thoughts? I certainly don't mind seeing Cena Orton again. Yeah, I mean, I'd have no complaints. It'd be a big match, and I think it's one that everyone would enjoy. I don't know that I would end a career that way. I'm a believer in giving back to the industry. I'm a believer in your last match being against someone that really needs it. I mean, it's got to be someone that deserves it. I think Kurt Angle, Baron Corbin was completely the wrong decision, and it felt like the wrong decision at the time. That didn't feel like the right thing to do, even at the time. And so I'm a big believer in you lose your last match and you put someone over, because it's a little bit like your way of giving back to the industry. It's your way of saying thank you to the business. Thank you for everyone that put me over. Thank you for everything that the business gave me. All the highs, all the lows. The best way that I can thank the business on the way out is to take the loss, because I don't need the win now, right? A lot of the times, think of all the times we have to protect people with dodgy finishes because, people need protecting, right? Well, you don't need protecting if it's your last match. You don't need protecting. There's no need to protect you, right? There's no need for a screwy finish or for you to even win, right? You can lose, you can take the loss, and you can lose clean in your last match. And that is a great way of just handing the baton over or giving someone something to brag about. And there's lots of different ways you can do it. You can do it as, if they lose, they have to retire. You can do it as you could have it as their retirement match, announce it in advance, go down that road. There's lots of different ways you can do that last match. But I'm always a fan of it being more about like passing the baton over, But I think it should be someone that's actually really exciting. It should be someone that there's a bit of buzz around. It'd be great, like, for someone to lose to Gunther right now, for example. Like, if John Cena was to have one last match, then I would probably say, like, Gunther would be my pick. Do John Cena versus Gunther. Try and make it as a bigger banger as you possibly could. We know that both are capable. John definitely is missing a step in 2023, but we know that Gunther's about as good as it gets in 2023. And so do that match, and you hopefully make it as close to 5 stars as possible. Hopefully make it a banger, build it up, even make it like if John Cena loses, he has to retire, blah, 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 and Gunther beats him. And Gunther would get something from that, and he could brag about that, and it would be Cena's way of giving back to the business. And it would hopefully be a fantastic match. Everyone would be buzzing about it. It gives Gunther something to brag about. And for me, that ticks a lot of boxes. And I would rather see that than I would Cena Orton. And like, that's his last match. I would still do Cena Orton, but I just wouldn't make it the last match. I just wouldn't make it Cena's last match. I would do it and then maybe do the Gunther match after and then have that as the last match. So that way you can still do both. But, people have got different opinions on that. And there is no like one fast, hard rule. It's not like every like wrestler that finishes their career in that way. But it is a little tradition that has been out there. And there's plenty of wrestlers that have followed that path by taking that loss against a young talent. which I just think is good for the business moving forwards. I just think like you're passing it along. Everything that you've been given, you give him back to someone. So I'm a fan of that. That was the criticism I had of Undertaker's last match. That Undertaker should have lost. Undertaker should have been buried and should have lost the Boneyard. Maybe that's a hot take, I don't know. But I'm a massive Undertaker fan, and I'm saying it. So, yeah, I thought like that's how, rather than get on his bike and ride into the sunset and literally bury, it's not often you can say this, but literally bury AJ Styles. He rode off into the sunset after literally burying. Saying that someone has buried someone is overused. Oh, they're buried. They just got buried. AJ Styles actually did, in every sense, get buried by The Undertaker in the Boneyard. Great match, though. Enjoyed it. I got praise for it. But if there was a little niggle, I would say the wrong person won. So, yeah, that's my feeling, is that you lose your last match. To be honest, with the Undertaker situation, I don't know, actually, if he knew that was going to be his last match. I don't know if he thought this is going to be it. This will be my last one. I think that the Undertaker had a bit of a problem, and we saw this on the last ride. The Undertaker was desperate to make sure that his career ended on a good note. Rather than him worrying about like taking the loss and putting someone over, he was desperately trying to find that performance that he could be happy with, because he just struggled to call it time. He really struggled to end his career. Like we saw in that documentary, it kept going because the matches he was having just weren't good enough. And it was, in his mind, hurting his legacy. So he was searching for that last great match, and it just wasn't presenting itself. And we had things like the debacle against Goldberg and all that stuff, you know. So I think that when he got to the Boneyards and it turned out the way it turned out, I think that was the point where he went, you know what, the condition that I'm in, I'm going to struggle to ever beat that. I'm going to struggle to put on a match that I think the fans are going to enjoy more than that. That's where I'm going to call it quits. So I don't think that it was a selfish move on behalf of The Undertaker. I don't look at it that way. I don't look at it as like it's him like just being a bit of a douche and like saying I'm going to win my last match or whatever. I see it more as him really struggling and battling to try and find that performance, that satisfying conclusion. Because how do you end a career as mammoth as The Undertaker's? Like, what match does finish that? How do you wrap up a career that iconic? And he found it with the Boneyard match. And so I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I can totally understand how it happened. But for me, in an ideal world, I think that it would have been a case that, in an ideal world, to be perfectly truthful, in an ideal world, I think his match with Brock at WrestleMania 30, that would have been a banger. It would have been as good as the Shawn matches, as good as the Triple H matches. It would have been a banger. 5-star, knocking on the door. Oh my God, this thing is mental. Look how brutal this match is. How's Undertaker kicking out of this? Blah, 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 blah. And eventually he doesn't. The streak ends. It's a banging match. It's WrestleMania 30, and he's done. And that's it. And his career's done. And it's over. And he walks away. And he puts Brock over. The streak is over. There's nothing else for him to achieve. And he walks away. Problem was, Flippin suffered a concussion in the match, didn't he? And the match just isn't anywhere near the same level as the Shawn or Triple H matches. And he ends up like not even remembering the majority of the match, going to hospital whilst WrestleMania is still on. And the whole thing just was, you know, not how he wanted to end his career. And so we had to keep going, didn't we? We had to keep going. And then you have like a pretty unsatisfying match against Bray. And really at that point, his body is failing him now. And he said in that documentary, it took him 12 months just to get ready for the next WrestleMania, because there would be a surgery that he would need. So he would have it. Then there was the recovery time. By the time he started training, it was coming up to like WrestleMania time. So he was just doing that loop for a good few years of like WrestleMania match, getting injured, surgery, recovery, time to get ready for WrestleMania match, injured, surgery, recovery, time to get ready for WrestleMania match. And he was just doing that. And he was just trapped in that loop. And I think when he got the boneyard, he was like, do you know what? I'm done. I can walk away now. But Undercover Manager said Toni would sign the janitor from Titan Towers if they were willing to jump. It's like the WCW days. If they've had WWE on the CV, then they will sign them. Godfather's Ho said, rolling up that Grand Slam stank. Puffin with a big Arthur Ashe. I didn't know Arthur Ashe was a person. Never heard of him. Never heard. I Googled Arthur Ashe because I was looking for like some graphics. And it brought up a tennis player called Arthur Ashe, who I've never heard of. Never heard of him. Puffing with that Arthur Ashe. Tony Khan, better produce the goods tonight. There's a tight B-hole cards. I don't know. Very hard. Roderick Strong will cost Joe the title tonight. Rod and MJF will be the new best friends. R.I.P. ODB. Godfather's Ho, shout out to you, my friend. Good shout, actually. Good shout about Roderick Strong costing Samoa Joe. Coach Coat said, presence of blood in your stool can be concerning and may indicate various underlying medical conditions. It's crucial to consult a healthcare professional if you notice blood in your poop. Hematoschizia. Hematoschizia. That's like a greeting. Sounds like a Japanese greeting, but it doesn't. It means blood in your poop. Coach Co, shout out to you. LS Dub said, I think the right person won Boneyards. Wrestling is built on moments, and Taker riding off into the sunset is a better moment than him losing without the admiration of a live crowd. Sakila said, tonight's surprise is Colt Cabana makes his return to the Dark Order on Grand Slam. LFG. Robs said, there may not be a Miles Davis or a Dizzy Gillespie in that Jabs club that Dynamite has, but that doesn't mean we won't see a Billie Holiday on any given Wednesday night. Listen, you walk into a jazz club and you see Billie Holiday, you've had a good night. You've had a damn good night. Yeah? You've had a damn good night. Very good. Never heard of Arthur Ashe. What a fake sports fan. I've never heard of him. Didn't know. Tennis isn't my thing, though. I will be the first to admit that my knowledge of tennis is not the strongest. Clearly. It's just not my sport. I mean, when I was growing up, Wimbledon would be on, but I only ever took a passing interest, and to be honest, I'd probably just be watching the British tennis players. Or if there was like a Pete Sampras or, you know, an Andre Agassi or someone who I'd heard of, then I'd be watching. But I ain't one of these that, you know, had love for Roger Federer or anything like that. I have never... Wimbledon just ain't my bag, baby. It ain't my bag. Kian said, what are your thoughts? Undertaker matches against Brock, SummerSlam 2015, Hell in a Cell match. What were your thoughts on those after WrestleMania with Bray? To be honest, I think that him losing WrestleMania was obviously a shock at the time. I'm a big Undertaker fan, and so I wanted him to get the win back, to be honest. I mean, it was clear that his career hadn't ended there. And as I said, for me, like, you lose your last match. So had that have been like his last match, fine. But it was clear it wasn't. And it was clear that Undertaker was still going. So he then goes into a program with Brock. And so I was like, well, do you know what? It would be good if he could get a win against Brock and like kind of show that, you know, what happened at WrestleMania, that's not what I'm about. Like, I can go toe to toe with Brock Lesnar. I just found those matches to be quite disappointing. The one win that he does get, I mean, I know like Brock like expose the ring boards and like have to use that to try and put Undertaker away. So Brock was having to go to, quite a length to put the dead man down. But I was disappointed that when Undertaker got the win, it was as a result of a low blow. I kind of felt like that's all Undertaker was, that's all he could do. I mean, the message was really sent during that feud that Undertaker just wasn't at Brock's level. That's the message I got watching it, was that Undertaker was just not on Brock's level. And it was kind of sad to see this iconic superstar, just have to resort to such pettiness. I mean, I was not a fan of that feud. For me, I would love to have seen, and this is where I think WWE do the screwy finishes too much. I would just love to have seen Undertaker beat Brock once properly, no low blow, properly beat him, and then do a third match and have Brock win that. I'd have no problem with that feud being 2-1 Brock or whatever. I'd have no problem with that. I'd have no problem with Brock, because at least then you can say, well, if they were to fight 10 times, chances are Brock wins 6 or 7, but Undertaker would definitely win 3, right? Well, I saw them fight a few times, and the one win Undertaker got, he had to use a low blow. So I don't come away from that feud thinking that Undertaker might win a few times. I come away going, he might actually never win any time. 10 times out of 10, Brock might win. And for Undertaker to get a win, he's got to deliver a low blow. So as an Undertaker fan, I was very disappointed that they just couldn't give him a victory in that feud. So yeah, it didn't do it for me. It didn't live up. I think the match at WrestleMania didn't live up to what we were hoping for, but understandably so. And then I think the feud after didn't work for me, because there were some good moments, and there was some good action. I'm not going to say the matches were horrific; they weren't, but I was looking for that response from Undertaker. I was looking for him to, the streak had just ended. Whatever fury or vengeance or anger that the Undertaker had, it must have been at its absolute zenith. It must have been at its absolute pinnacle, because this is the person that's took your streak away. Something that has absolutely defined your character was took away by this person. So, if you want motivation to beat someone, that's as good a motivation as you're going to find in wrestling. I mean, for was it 21-1 in the end? 21 years, and that actually longer than that, because there's the odd WrestleMania that he doesn't appear at. So for longer than 21 years, I think it was actually 24 years or 23 years that he had that streak, and it finally got broken. Imagine that, 23 years of being unbeaten, it finally gets beaten. You would think that whatever Undertaker had to offer at that point, he would have offered it, and he couldn't get that win against Brock clean. He couldn't get that clean win. That really disappointed me. So yeah, I was a bit down on it, to be honest. Arthur Ashe won the first ever US Open with professionals, says Kevin. Arthur Ashe is the greatest black male tennis player ever. We've got some Arthur Ashe stats. Arthur Ashe got AIDS oh, that's a bit of a downer. In the 80s from a bad blood transfusion and died. I like the other ones. I like the other facts. Arthur Ashe was a great tennis player. He won the US Open. He had surgery in the 80s. MJF won't lose the title till he faces Adam Cole again, says James. Christopher said MJF is going to choke Joe out and go on and become the longest reigning AEW champion in AEW history. I'm more pro WWE, but I hope that AEW gets Dolph, says Corey. Ellis Dub, Wimbledon just ain't my bag, baby. Wrestling days. I probably will have that on my gravestone, actually. I think that's probably a strong enough quote to go on my stone. Right, I think are we kind of up to speeds? WWE takes stars from another company and buries them. I feel Taker got away with it because he lost to Roman and to Brock. AJ wasn't the guy. The visual of him riding off was right at the time, says Nita Nitro. It goes both ways. AEW is also taking some WWE top stars. WWE fan says you got to miss the Raw stream. Oh, I don't know what they're doing. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't miss. I'm not trying to rub it in, but I wouldn't miss Raw next week because word on the street is that they are looking to boost that number. Like, apparently USA have made it very clear that the 1.3 isn't acceptable. So I think that could mean that we're going to see a response to that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what we do. Because Raw has just been sort of there, to be honest. It's just sort of been there. And I don't think we've really been making any great shakes. So I am definitely looking for something a bit bigger. I'm looking for something a bit juicier. Like, you know, the steak's there, but it's just a real small cut at the moment. I'm looking for something bigger, juicier. You know, I'm trying to think what cut that would be. A Chateaubriand. That's what I'm looking for. But what matches between Cena and Randy was your favorites? Oh, I mean, they faced so many times. The one that always comes to my mind was the ladder match one where they unified the titles because it was such a big deal. And that's Randy wins that one and unifies those two belts. And I remember that being a bit of a shock, actually, because I really thought that John Cena was going to win that when they unified those titles. Like that was the world heavyweight title as well with the WWE belt. And I really was surprised that that kind of went the way that it went. But in retrospect, it probably made sense because I believe that was 2013. And obviously we needed a heel to have the title because I don't even know if they knew this at the time. But obviously in 2014, we've got Daniel Bryan winning it at WrestleMania. And that's where you've got Orton, Batista, and Daniel Bryan. I think, to be honest, the reason Randy wins that probably isn't so much to do with Daniel Bryan, but it's because at that point they knew that, like, Batista was coming back. But that's the first one that kind of comes to my mind. But they face so many times, and they face so many times down in developmental as well. You know, they really are both's greatest rival, in my opinion. I think Randy was probably Bray's greatest rival, but I don't think Bray was Randy's. I think John Cena was Randy's, and vice versa as well. A Twisted Sky said there needs to be a response. While there is a potential banger match and feuds, they have just been given us scraps. Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, I still feel like the shows are worth watching. I certainly don't come away from them going, that was trash. There was nothing there. You know, blah, 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 blah. I actually did the review of Monday's Raw, and What Culture gave it 8 ups and 5 downs. And I thought some of the ups were a little weak, if I'm going to be honest. But it was interesting to see just how much stuff you go, yeah, that was quite good. Yeah, that was all right, that was. Yeah, I agree with that. I enjoyed that. Yeah, that was all right. They're not the strongest ups. They're not like, you know, big, juicy ups. They're just like, yeah, that was entertaining. That was quite good. You know, like Chelsea Green, that got an up because she is entertaining. She was fun backstage. She always provides good facials in the ring. You know, when Nia was approaching her and she was like, couldn't believe it. Like, her facial reactions were just, you know, incredible. She's brilliant. She's a great wrestler. She knows her character. She knows her role in the company. She knows that she's kind of that comedy act. She plays it so well. She's someone that is there to take losses. You know, I want to see her in a singles match with Nia. Because, again, I want to see that facial reaction of her, like, just being absolutely horrified at finding out that she's going to be put into a match with Nia Jax. I really do want to see that singles match, but I think what I want to see with Chelsea in the long term is I want to see her, like, kind of get to rock bottom, be really down, And then I want to see someone like a manager or someone come along and start to build her up and for her to start to get some momentum. And I'd be interested to know if the crowd would get behind her then. But I think at the moment, obviously for the foreseeable future, we just keep doing what we're doing because it's working. So she definitely is an up. And I do enjoy watching Chelsea. And I think Nia Jax has been great since she's come back. Even What Culture said it's been fun watching her come in and just chuck people around and like just be the monster that we know that she could be and can be. You do always sense that it's going to go wrong at some point. Like, we haven't heard her music yet. And, you know, if it's going to be the same as it was, like, to me, that would be a misstep. And if she's just going to look a bit lost in the ring and, you know, like, you know, that's going to be a bit of a misstep. Like, her matches were never that great. But I think if they're going to be short and they're going to be destructive and she's just going to use her power and throw people around, screaming out at the crowds, whatever, like, you know, being a bit of a female Brock, I kind of feel like that would be the better way to present her. But yeah, at the moment, I would say that's quite interesting. But we can't keep doing this week after week after week. We're going to have to move the story along, and you know that's when we might start to see it wobble a little bit. So, but at the moment, for me, so far so good. So, you know, that got a little up as well. But yeah, overall, the shows are just lacking that Bloodline thing at the moment. Bloodline did so much for WWE. It's just not there at the moment. You know, will Jay join Judgment Day? Yes or no? Like, I don't think that was the most compelling story. And then before that, it's, you know, is JD gonna join? I think the Will Finn and Damian turn on each other stuff was quite interesting, but then we dropped that. We've moved away from that. We probably will go back to it, maybe closer to WrestleMania, but right now it's been dropped, and now we're kind of doing like them being tag team champions, which I'm sure there'll be some miscommunication. They'll end up losing the belts, and we'll go right back to, you know, tension again. But yeah, it is just missing that kind of big G. And even Cody's not doing anything interesting, just faffing around with Dominic and having like heart-to-heart conversations with Kevin Owens, isn't he? So we'll see what they do on Monday to try and respond to USA. People expected a Judgment Day beatdown or a 6-man tag on Raw Weekly. Don't blame the viewers, says Sir Killer. Simon strives to be positive in ups and downs. Simon will give an up if he is entertained by a match or a segment. Simon doesn't do the ups and downs. It's an article that's written. It's an article that's published on the What Culture website, and then Simon, my understanding is, takes that and just presents it. So you can actually click on the What Culture website and you can read What Culture's WWE ups and downs. On, I think it was Raw, because I use those as the basis for me to kind of bounce off. Because I could just do a Raw review with the notes that I take anyway, because I have to take notes, because I have to do the voiceover for the recap video. So it's not like I don't have notes. But I think it's interesting bouncing off the What Culture ups and downs, because they are a different person's perspective. And so it's interesting to go, okay, this is what someone is saying. I think it's normally written by someone called Scott. This is what Scott is saying. And this is what Culture is saying. And so this is what do we think about it, right? Do we agree with that? Do we not agree with that? Are we got mixed feelings on it? So it allows us to still talk about the same things, but it also allows us to have a different perspective to like bounce off. And I think it just makes for a better video. So yeah, we do reviews for Raw and SmackDown, and we bounce off the What Culture ups and downs. And thankfully, they published them really early this week. Sometimes I can't do them until like quite late in the afternoon, early evening, because the article still hasn't like been published. But on Monday, it had got published like super early. So yeah, we use that as a way to kind of bounce off of it. It must be the first time that said I enjoy watching Chelsea, but you meant Chelsea Green. Undercover Manager said, you know what hasn't been done in forever? An injury angle. Someone proper hurts someone, ambulance, and that leads to a feud. We need a huge moment. 3 hours of the same stuff is boring. It makes moments like past eras. Some wrestling fans are bitter. They should stop watching wrestling altogether, says Sean. Well, there's no bitterness here. We are ready to move forwards and enjoy the show. We're 5 minutes away. So if you are just joining us, I think this would be a good time to just run down the cards and let people know what it is that we're going to be watching. This is in Arthur Ashe Stadium. It's a big stadium as well. We're talking about like 20,000, I believe. It's a big space. So you've got MJF against Samoa Joe for the AEW World Championship. As we said, I'm really into Samoa Joe. I'm really into that match. I don't expect Samoa Joe to win, but I would like to see him get the victory. Then we've got Claudio against Eddie Kingston. So we've got that. I think that's title versus title. I'm still a little bit in the dark as to whether that is title versus title. We'll have to wait and see. Then we've got Chris Jericho against Sammy Guevara. That obviously has had a good build. Then we've got Saraya against Toni Storm. That's for the AEW Women's Championship. The poll has got 63% of people saying that Saraya is going to win that one. Had nearly 350 votes on that. So Saraya against Toni Storm. I'd love Toni Storm to do it. And then, of course, Jon Moxley versus Rey Fenix. And we may see some surprises as well. So, yeah, let's see how this plays out. That is the match cards. It should be a good little show. Eddie Claudio will tear the house down. Yeah, I just said, is that title versus title? Like, is someone going to leave with both belts? Is that what we're going to be leaving with? I believe it is title versus title, says Guardians of Chaos. I saw it branded that way, but I don't think it's branded that way here. Oh, no, it is. Sorry, I missed it. Like underneath Eddie Kingston, it is title versus title. I didn't see that. So, yeah, title versus title. So then I'm guessing someone's going to leave with both titles. My guess there then is that Eddie Kingston's going to leave with both of those. That would be my guess. Only because Eddie Kingston's got the New Japan title, which is an external company, whereas Claudio has got the Ring of Honor title, which is owned by Tony Khan. So it's a lot easier for Tony to move titles that he owns onto different people rather than moving a New Japan title, which is from an external company. So that's why my guess would be, it may not go that way, but my guess would be that Eddie Kingston would win and then both belts would go over to Eddie Kingston. Rather than trying to move a New Japan title where he might have checked with them first, like, can I put this onto Claudio? Have you got any problem with that? And I'm sure they wouldn't, but I would guess it'd be a lot easier to move the Ring of Honor title than to move the New Japan Strong title. So, yeah, my pick would be that it would go in that direction. No tag matches tonight. Not that I have seen. Not that's been on that graphic, no. David said, I'm struggling with wrestling at the moment because Danielson is going to retire, Punk's gone, and Roman is hardly defending, but I want to watch tonight only because of Joe and MJF. Twisted Sky said, if Eddie loses in New York, there's going to be mayhem. AR1 said, Claudio and Eddie should be the main event, and it's in New York. It's only right that Eddie wins tonight. On Wikipedia, it says that OC and Hook are in a tag match. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. There could be other matches. This is the top end of the cards. But, yeah, at the moment, those are the top matches. There could be others that get added. I wouldn't be surprised to see Orange Cassidy on this show. Drops of Jupiter said, if CM Punk joins WWE again, should he still be the real world champion because no one beat him yet, and take the title off of Seth Rollins or something like that? If CM Punk joins WWE again, should he still be the real world champion because no one beat him and took the title off him, something like that? No. No, I have no idea why WWE would even want to acknowledge CM Punk being that, because what all you're doing then is you are acknowledging that the AEW championship actually means something. I mean, it's very different for when Ric Flair came in, because when Ric Flair came in the 90s, you know, he was the WCW champion, but that WCW championship had its history, had its lineage going all the way back to the 10 pounds of gold, going back to the NWA. Like, if CM Punk was to come in, I don't think WWE should acknowledge that he was a world champion, because I don't think that WWE should acknowledge that AEW's belt means anything. It's just a belt that's been made up a couple of years ago that's important to AEW fans, but why should it be important to WWE? Because in a roundabout way, you would be saying that belt matters. Don't know why you would do that. Right, backstage, we're looking at Claudio and Wheeler Yuta in the dressing room. So I don't know if his mate, it looks lovely back there, doesn't it? Okay, first match starting up. We are inside Arthur Ashe. I have no idea what looks like it is Claudio that's going to be starting us off. I've no idea, like, not that it matters how many tickets have been sold and things along those lines. I mean, obviously, like, the lights are down and it looks full. I'm pretty sure that Dave Meltzer said there was a rush on tickets. There was a rush on tickets. They did drop them, I believe, in price. So I believe that there's a good crowd in there. I think they'd sold 7,000 anyway, and then there was a rush. It wouldn't surprise me if we've got to like 12,000 or something along those lines. We could have a look actually and see if WrestleTix, is it WrestleTix, WrestleNomics, Wrestle someone might have some data on how many tickets have been sold. So 2 hours ago, they were at 9,800. So they were at 7. There was a bit of a rush for tickets, but it's still not quite got them to 10,000. I reckon by the time the show has started, people actually buying on the door, they would have got over 10,000. But it looks like it's going to be about that in the end. So that was 2 hours ago. Dynamite Rampage, Arthur Ashe Stadium. Apparently, the setup is only for 11,000, though. They've only got a setup for 11,000. So even if they did sell out, they would only do 11,300. It's interesting. Here's Eddie Kingston getting a great reaction. Obviously, all WWE, AEW fans want to see a pay-per-view clash between both companies, but maybe if they wanted to put each challenge from both brands to compete, like Never Say Never thoughts, I don't think all fans want to see that. I don't know if I want to see that, to be honest. I don't know that all fans want to see that. There's a lot of WWE fans that don't watch AEW, so to them, like, they wouldn't care. What they would care about is if you said that, you know, we could bring back Daniel Bryan, and we could bring back Tony Storm, we could bring back Paige, we could bring back these people that they might have heard of. But there's plenty of, like, young fans, even older fans, that just watch WWE and don't interact with AEW. Chop coming in. I would imagine everyone here would be interested in it. Chop coming in there by Eddie Kingston. Forearm strike coming in by Claudio. Forearm strike there by Claudio. These two throwing in chops and forearms at the moment to start off the show. Forearm strike coming in there by... I wonder what the rating this is going to do. It is a big show. And it feels like a big show. And it's got a great energy already. Plenty of noise inside Arthur Ashe. Kingston thrown to the outside. And Claudio on the outside. Getting hurled into barricade. Selling a knee tweak there. Eddie coming over, choking Claudio, looking to throw in some chops. You can see how red Claudio's chest is already. I've recently started watching AEW because of the streams, not religiously, but as a diehard WWE fan, I'm still on the fence. Yeah, I think you're right to be like on the fence. If it's not something that grabs you, I think the fact that you've given it a go is like cool to be applauded. It's, you know, I've said before, there's lots about it that I struggle with. There's lots about it that doesn't connect with me, like Jon Moxley against Rey Fenix. I'm not bothered. Like, that's a match I could easily skip. And there's plenty of like booking decisions, like the outside interference, some of the really cheesy ringside managers and personnel. I don't even know the names. One of them's called Alex. Brandon Cutler's another one. Like, there's a lot that are just, they're not cool. Not cool. They're just really cheesy, and I find them like a distraction. And Aubrey Edwards, I find a distraction. There's plenty of little bits like that that just devalue the company for me. They make it like, they don't make it a cool company to watch, in my opinion, for those reasons. But then you've got other things that do make it a cool company to watch. Ricky Starks makes it a cool company to watch. Jamie Hayter makes it a cool company to watch. I think Eddie Kingston makes it a cool company to watch. So you like with most things, you've got good and bads. And there's, you know, I could sit here and list a load of stuff that I think is wrong or off about the company for me. But I can also sit here and list quite a few things that I enjoy about it. So you just got to find what it is that you enjoy about it. But this, for me, this is a good card tonight. This is a good opening match. A hot crowd as well. Chops coming in there by Eddie Kingston. And going to throw in spinning back fist. I must admit, some of these shots by Kingston don't look quite as hard as what I was expecting. Back elbow there by Eddie. Claudio. Big back body drop onto the entrance ramp. That entrance ramp as well is just like one giant TV screen. And Eddie Kingston getting dropped onto that. There's no give on that whatsoever. Taz said that is just a whiplash moment right there. The crowd obviously firmly behind Eddie, chanting for him right now. I enjoy AEW, but one of my biggest turnoffs is when the wrestlers have a million different finishers and the near falls aren't as expected. It's supposed to be edge of the seat type feel. Claudio should have been counted out, says Travis. Why does Ricky Stark do the Bruce Forsyth pose? Because Bruce Forsyth's the GOAT. That's why. Because he's paying respects to the greatest of all time. Eddie has rolled over and he's rolled a little bit closer. But all that means is that Claudio just changes his offense and actually comes stomping down onto Eddie. Eddie is down. Claudio standing over him, kicking away at Eddie. Look at that. Just stomps down, double stomp. Claudio. I mean, these two have hated on each other for so long. I said as we were building towards this, oh, big splash, that you do sense that these two really don't like each other. I think, though, I would like to see them just turn up a bit of the shouting. You know, I'd like to see Eddie Kingston just like really trash talk. I'd like to see the trash talk in between them. I want to see the hatred between them just turned up during this match a little bit more. At the moment, they're just like throwing in shots. I'm not seeing them saying a great deal to each other. Claudio getting back up to his feet. I think we've gone to commercial. Eddie over against the ropes and forearms to the back of the head here by Claudio on Eddie. Claudio looking over at the referee as he grabs Eddie, trying to drag him into the middle of the ring. He grabs Eddie. He's got him in the middle of the ring. Going to go for a suplex, maybe. Goes to pick him up. Eddie blocks it. Looking to reverse it. Shot to the midsection there by Claudio. And again, another one as well. And no joy. AEW makes it impossible for me to suspend disbelief, said Michael. Most of the wrestlers are just not believable as professional athletes. I kind of wish this one had more of a blitz and a brawl style pace to it, says Ellis Dub. Good match so far, said Christopher. Can't stop, won't stop, said Claudio. Looks hurt or maybe a bit injured. Do you know what? Maybe there is something like that that's happened, and that's why they're not just going hell for leather, you know? There's little kicks coming in here. Really little kicks by Claudio. Just kicking away at Eddie. All he's done there is allow Eddie to get to his knees, though. Claudio goes back against the ropes. Clothesline. Eddie goes down. Claudio looking for a cover as Eddie gets his shoulder up. Again, I think we're at commercial break. The pace of it is quite slow at the moment. Pulling back on the arms and putting a bit of a... That's a nice hold. I like that. Don't see that, do you? So he's got Eddie's arm. He's got it over by his head. He's got his arm round and he's putting the squeeze on. So there's really not much space there. It's really a tight squeeze, but Eddie manages to easily get out of that. Stomp coming down by Claudio. Stomp on the other side. Eddie still down. Sheamus, Drew, Becky, KO, all their contracts are up next year, said AR1. When Brock had diverticulitis, he did get kicked in the midsection and lost in UFC. They should do that angle. Gerald said, I think my big problem with AEW is they don't play into what wrestlers look like. Samoa Joe looks like a killer. There's no reason Roderick Strong should be dominating a match against him. I agree about Samoa Joe looking like a killer. I know there's a lot of people that like to have a go at him for being fat and all this kind of stuff, but I think when you've grown up watching people like Bam Bam and Yokozuna and Vader and King Kong Bundy and, you know, even Andre, like, I don't know, man. It's just, it's a bit crazy that that's an argument. Like that he looks fat and all this kind of stuff. I really like Samoa Joe. I think he's got the way he carries himself like a bad man as well. I think, do you know what? I think it's hard sometimes being a professional wrestling fan because it's got a stigma to it. It's got a stigma to it, you know, because it's scripted. There's enough people out there that just love to jump on you and go, you know, that's fake, yeah. And so sometimes, but yeah, I know it's fake, but who cares, right? Films are fake, TV shows are fake. Yeah, we've all had them conversations. For me, like, I really want to watch stuff that I think still looks cool. I want to watch stuff. I don't mind having a laugh, but give me some stuff that looks cool as well. So yeah, I agree. Like, this is why I enjoy Gunther. This is why I enjoy Samoa Joe. This is why I enjoy Ricky Starks. This is why I enjoy, you know, Roman Reigns. Because, like, I just feel like if you used to show people those superstars, you know, they're cool. They are cool. And I don't, like, The Rock was cool. And everyone loves The Rock. Oh, it's funny how everyone flipping loves The Rock now. That he's in Hollywood being charismatic in films. Oh, that's acceptable. But, oh, well, it wasn't acceptable when he was a professional wrestler. Shut up. Shut up. Stone Cold was cool. Rock was cool. I agree. There's something about wrestlers that are like cool and credible. There is something. I agree with you. I agree. This is why I hate flipping Alex, whatever his name is. Chops coming in there by Alex. I've got Alex on the brain. Eddie. Oh, no, that was good. Eddie throwing in these chops. They were doing nothing, so he goes, bang. Just nails Claudio. That was good. That's what I've wanted to see, some of that kind of stuff. He threw in these chops. It wasn't doing anything, so I'll sucker punch you in the face then instead. Knees coming into the head there by Eddie. Oh, big shot coming back by Claudio. Eddie Kingston going over against the ropes. We're already 15 minutes into this one. Had a couple of shots. Now we've got Claudio just saying a few words back to Eddie. Eddie getting into the middle of the ring. Staring at Claudio. These two exchanging words now. We're going to look to exchange. I don't get the chops. The chops sting. But, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you've got Claudio throwing, like, heavy forearms. Then you've just got Eddie throwing back like a chop. Look at that uppercut, man. Look at that uppercut. He's just absolutely nailed him with a European uppercut. And then Eddie comes back with, like, a chop. Don't get the chops. Not if Claudio was chopping, I would understand. But Claudio is nailing him with like European uppercuts and stuff like that. Like I think Eddie could have gone with something a lot harder hitting. Right, we've got Claudio winning that exchange, as I think he should have, because he was throwing the harder offense there. Elbows coming into the side of the head by Claudio. He's got Kingston looking to pick him up. Kingston trying to take Claudio over. And he gets a 2 reversed. Claudio comes up. Uppercut. Down goes Eddie. It's a lovely looking uppercut. Oh, shoulder up. That was good. That looked good. Those European uppercuts, I mean, it's a real speciality of Claudio. Right, he's got... Oh, sick. Bomb by Claudio. Oh, kick out by Kingston again. Some really good action in this. It's not perfect. It ain't 5 stars, but there's some really good action here. Crowds are energized as well. They're making plenty of noise for this one. Claudio, again, grabbing Eddie. Eddie getting up to his feet. Claudio doing some trash talking right in his face. There's another heavy uppercut. Looking for a Snapdragon. Eddie with a Snapdragon. Eddie again with a spinning back. It's not a back fist, though, is it? It's like open palm. 1, 2. Kick out by Claudio. Eddie thought he had done enough there. Is there a time limit? Oh, well, maybe. Maybe we do get... There will be a time limit. Maybe we do get, like, a time limit draw. I don't mind time limit draws. I don't think they're something you should use all the time, but we just rarely see them. And so, yeah, if you've got a time limit of, say, 20 minutes, yeah, I ain't got a problem with getting the distance. These two trying to beat each other, neither guy can quite do it. And so you end up getting a time limit draw. I really don't mind that once in a while. Oh, back fist. It's like a back slap. Powerbomb, 1, 2, 3, but there is no time limit draw. Eddie Kingston gets the win. Eddie Kingston beats Claudio. That guy's pumped up. Let's go! So Eddie Kingston adds that Ring of Honor title to his New Japan Strong title. New York responds as you would expect. Gotta say, man, it's a fun opening match. It's perfectly acceptable. There's some good moments in there. It's energized the crowds. And I would say that's a decent start to Grand Slam. Put in your scores. What would you score it? Out of 5, Wrestler Andy said, this is the time that calls for a crimson mask. Yeah, what would you score it? Okay, so Eddie is on his feet. Claudio is on his feet. Claudio is stretching out his hand to shake the hand of Eddie, and there's a handshake between them. There's a sign of respect shown between Eddie and Claudio, and Eddie holds up both those titles. He is the new Ring of Honor World Champion. Good moment. I like how Claudio has kind of got out the way as well. He's done one just so that Eddie can be in the ring with that crowd, and the crowd showing him the love, showing him the support. This is New York. This is Eddie's town. And, you know, Claudio managed to just quickly get out the way to leave the new champ in the ring and enjoy that moment. And as I said, I think it's a good start. Hobbling his way up the entrance ramp. Eddie Kingston getting the win. Eddie 2 belts, said Mr. Unfamiliar. Eddie 2 belts. Love that they finally shook hands, said Tracy. Kevin said, correct me if I'm wrong, Survivor Series, The Rock started to tease face turn. I believe so. We're backstage with Roderick Strong, who's in a hospital bed. Got the Kingdom by his sides. So we're in a hospital, not a fake hospital like Hangman when he was standing by that garage door. Okay, so Roderick Strong is calling for Adam Cole. Adam Cole is there. Came. Adam Cole, check in on Roderick Strong. Convenient how you show up just as we have to go. So the Kingdom are going to be new #1 contenders for the ROH tag titles. Okay, so what's he going to say? It's got to go already. That does suck. That does suck. Adam Cole said, I've just got here as quick as I could, and now he's going again. Let's go. Roderick Strong raises that bed. Oh, is it again? It's a rough bed. That definitely needs some attention, that bed. Definitely needs some attention. Jericho against Sammy Guevara coming up next. Right, I want more story from wrestling shows. I'm considering giving OVW a shot. I think OVW is going to get a hell of a boost, isn't it, from that documentary? I haven't seen it, but there's been a lot of praise for it. A lot of praise. So yeah, that I could imagine that they're going to pick up quite a few new fans. Fair play. AEW doesn't need to tell stories, says William. AEW just needs to build to in-match action and put on great matches. We already have WWE for stories. James said Nakazawa and Marco Stunt are the true GOATs. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. No lies detected. This is... Oh, hang on, that's an old one. How long do you think MJF holds the title? I think that we are going to see him hold it for quite a while longer. I don't see... Unless there's going to be something that's going to come of this Roderick Strong, Adam Cole thing, and Adam Cole's going to betray MJF or something along those lines. But I much prefer MJF as a heel. I think MJF is a natural heel. But it's undeniable that, like, MJF being a loner, he's now found a friend. He's trying to embrace that. There's been plenty of opportunity for him to turn. He hasn't done it. Like, there's no denying that this has grabbed people's attention. People are enjoying this story. But I prefer MJF as a heel. I think he's a natural heel. So I think that it's going to be very interesting to see where this story goes, as to because clearly someone's turning on someone. Clearly, either Adam's turning on MJF or MJF's turning on Adam Cole. It's clearly going to go down one of those paths. But it'd be interesting to see if this results in MJF losing the title. I certainly don't think it's tonight. I watched the first episode of that Wrestlers documentary, and it is good. And I am going to try and find time to watch the rest, says LSW. Coach Co said, so, dear traveller, remember this tale as you bask under the sun's golden veil. Embrace the warmth, but with caution. Friend, protect your skin, lest the burn descend. Powerful. Sounds like something from Waiting for Godot. Sounds like something from a play there. Build is a big part of the story. If we get just bouncing, it gets boring. I want to see more like MJF and Punk, said Jason. Okay, we're backstage with Christian and Luchasaurus. Darby, I'm ready to move on. I'm bored of you. So on Rampage Grand Slam, which is going to be a 2-hour special on Friday, Darby Allin and Sting taking on Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. So I'm guessing that one's taped. Guessing that they tape it and then they'll just play it. So the results will probably come out, which is going to be a shame, isn't it? That'll obviously affect the ratings. Okay, so Christian laying into the Yankees and the Mets, the local sports teams. That gets a reaction. So, little backstage promo there by Christian, just setting up what we're doing on Friday. So, tag match at Rampage, a 3-way at Collision. But we're moving on to our next match. We're already half an hour into this show. So, a quarter of the way through the show already. And it's time for Jericho versus Sammy Guevara. But AEW could really become something different if they stop competing and become something new, says William. Kevin said, how about a Mount Rushmore for the worst wrestlers instead of best wrestlers? Well, I'll throw that out there to people. It'll be a fun one for people to get their teeth into. I think it's hard to define worst because, like, if someone's bad, like, they might not stick around very long, or they might just be like a bit of a jobber or something. It's like, that's a harder one to define, isn't it? Because normally if you're bad, you're probably not going to get used too much. But then, you know, you can make the argument of, say, the Ultimate Warrior, who was not a great in-ring performer, but I mean, he had such a great character. It didn't really matter. I loved the Warrior as a kid. So, like, I couldn't go with Warrior, even though he was bad in-ring, and he couldn't do anything in-ring, apart from the absolute basics of just, like, colliding into you and maybe a gorilla press slam and a splash. That's about it. But because of how strong his character was, I couldn't go with that. So yeah, feel free to put in what you would class as the worst wrestlers. Days, not very impressive. Tony Khan, better get the shiz together. I would like to fight Tony. I'm issuing a challenge to Tony. No holds barred death match for the AEW ownership. R.I.P. Tony Khan, thank you. Heather, shout out to you. Hello, hope you are well. Hello, here's Sammy with Mont Easy. Mont Easy is here, guys. Very exciting. Days, slow build stories. No, slowly build matches and tell the story with action in ring. Give me my wrestling fix. Aubrey said, I wonder if there's any fans out there that only watch Rampage and that's the only show they watch. I want to meet them. I'd be surprised. Yeah. I wonder if there is. I wonder if anyone in the world. There is a sign that says Alvarez fears. But I don't know. Alvarez fears something. But I can't see the bottom part of it. Pork chops. Is it pork chops? Does he? What? Pork chop. Alvarez fears pork chop. What the flip does that mean? What does that mean? Like Brian Alvarez. In my head, that's Brian Alvarez. Alvarez fears pork chops. Maybe that's something from their podcast. There's a sign in the crowd that says Aubrey every Wednesday, AEW. Is that like a fully signed up Aubrey fan? Is that person come to see Aubrey the referee? Aubrey every Wednesday. Listen, we were wondering if there was anyone that only tuned into Rampage. Dropkick. Little stumble there by Jericho, but he saved it, you know. Little stumble. He kind of stumbled to the ropes, fell into the ropes, but bounced back out and into a dropkick. They did well there. Sammy doing his pose and Jericho posing with him. That Sammy rap was horrible. It's a crisscross wannabe. That dude rapping was running out of breath, said Big Time. Was Warrior bad, or did he just choose to try and not have classic matches? What, for his whole career? It was a choice he made for his whole career. No, there's plenty of people that are saying that he couldn't work, like that worked with him. I saw like Dutch Mantel talking about him. I've heard Bruce Pritchard talking about him, saying that he was just like a bodybuilder that just couldn't. I mean, if you watch his matches, they were clearly basic, but they were short, but they were kept short on purpose. And he just didn't have much of it in the way of a moveset, and apparently backstage just wasn't interested in learning. But you could make the argument, and I think this might be the argument that Jim's making. You could make the argument that he didn't need to learn because that wasn't his character. His character wasn't someone that was ever going to be getting into a 5-star classic match. His character was a wild man that, you know, drew from the gods and all that kind of stuff. And just needed to come down and provide energy. That's what he came down. He was that shot of energy, that shot of excitement. Like him coming down and getting dragged into like a wrestling match just may not have worked, or may not have. That's not what he was there for. That's not what he was there to do. There was others on the card that could provide that. So, but my understanding is no, he couldn't wrestle. He didn't know like wrestling. It wasn't choosing not to wrestle. He just didn't learn how to wrestle. But you could make the argument that, as we said, did he need to learn? Jericho going to the outsides. Will you do a retro stream on Christmas Eve like you did last year? You rewatched the WrestleMania with Rock and Hogan, says Kian. I don't know, to be honest, because I don't know what day is it. What day is it? I mean, obviously I'm here on Christmas Eve. I ain't doing anything. It's a Sunday night. There's probably a good chance, yeah. It's probably a good chance that we'll do a stream on that Sunday night. Do like a retro watch along. Suplex to the outside. Sorry, one of the few Kingston matches I've enjoyed, says David. You didn't need a moveset in the golden era. It was about the energy and crowd interaction. Look at Hogan and Andre, said Gerald. It is true. I mean, there are good matches in that era. You know, great tag matches. The British Bulldogs were really fun to watch. Macho Man, Ricky Steamboat. You know, and I'm not even talking like outside of WWE. I'm talking inside WWE. Like there were good matches. I don't think people are saying there's none. I mean, clearly that would be a silly thing to say, but it wasn't the focus. You are absolutely right. It wasn't the focus. Sammy is on the outside. Tony says he was expecting this to be a rough match, but maybe not quite this rough. Jericho is playing up the crowd now, making sure that the crowds are involved. Aubrey is counting away. Sammy on the outside had the top part of that commentary table chucked onto his back. He's getting up to his feet right now. Sammy trying to get into the ring to break the count. Kicks coming in by Jericho. Jericho with Sammy. I said I would have gone to this show. If I was in the New York area and I wasn't streaming, I would have gone to this. I think like going to Arthur Ashe would probably be quite interesting. I ain't going there for tennis because I ain't really a tennis fan. So, like, when would I ever get a chance to go to this stadium? And as I said, I think some of the matches tonight look pretty good. Kick coming in there by Jericho. And word on the street was that for some of the tickets, like top tickets and everything, like to be in the top section, like $15. Sammy is on that top turnbuckle. Again, a big chop coming in. I just want to have a look, see where Arthur Ashe actually is. I don't know. Clearly, I could not point to it on a map. Arthur Ashe Stadium. I think we have looked before. There it is. It is... Oh, did not know that. It's right by, like, Brooklyn. It's actually on... Long Island. Did not know that. So it's between Brooklyn and Queens on Long Island, not far from JFK. Do you know what? That's pretty good, isn't it? Land at JFK Airport. And then just pootle over, not far, and then you're at Arthur Ashe. It's right by Manhattan, but not on Manhattan, like on the island, Long Island. There we go. Chop coming in by Sammy. Mox hasn't even been on the show yet, and he's probably already bleeding, said Hawkins Jr. John said they've got concerts there too. Oh, that would probably make sense, actually. I mean, I don't think you can do tennis there all the time. So, yeah, they probably would do concerts. Clothesline by Jericho. Sammy goes down. Again, another clothesline. Sammy down. Jericho going for the cover. To shoulder up. Off topic, but I'm downloading the Street Fighter 6 demo. Oh, there's a demo. I'm going to download the demo as well, yeah. Man, that open world part of the game, I don't know what it's called. Street Fighter World, something like that. We were talking about it the other day. Really want to have a go at that. I don't know if they give you, surely they do, give you a chance to do that bit. But yeah, it got really good reviews, that game. Street Fighter 6, definitely interested in that. Codebreaker by Sammy. I think I looked on Steam, because I'd probably go for Steam instead. I think it's still quite expensive, because it's still quite new out, in all fairness. I don't know, man. Might wait for that price. I wonder if it'll drop in price. Street Fighter 6 Collector's Edition, £250. How'd you get with that? Mad Gear box. Don't know what that is. Pop-up parade figures. Luke and Kimberly. Don't know who they are. Stickers. Art book. Figure diorama boards. The game and digital content. Sammy with a moonsault to the outside. Lands on top of Jericho. That does not strike me as value for money for £250. But if you're a die-hard Street Fighter fan, maybe that would work for you. Got kicked by Jericho. I think we're back from commercial break. I'm sure we were at a commercial break. Jericho telling Sammy to get up. Looks to come off the ropes. Bit of a botch there. Sammy tries to kick Jericho in the face. He didn't connect. He connected that time. Jericho goes down. Funny, actually, a couple of moments in this match where it's just been a little off. Just a little off. That kick there just seemed to miss by a fair distance. Sammy going up top. Jericho in the ring as he go. Wow! Cutter off the top by Sammy. That seemed to connect. 1, 2, and shoulder up by Jericho. That was a monstrous cutter. Absolutely, the crowd didn't seem bothered. The crowd didn't seem to care. Sammy has got Jericho on his shoulders. Oh, went for a I don't know what he calls it. It's like a GTS, but Jericho trying to turn it over into the walls. Jericho's got the walls. Sammy in a hole. Heap of trouble right now. Aubrey is right there as Sammy is teasing that he's going to tap. Sammy getting over to the ropes. Desperately trying to make it. Aubrey again in the ring. Right there in case Sammy wants to tap, but he's managing to get out of it, throwing a few shots. He's getting turned over. Jericho over by the ropes. Sammy on his knees, trying to get back up to his feet. Comes over, knee strike there by Sammy. Jericho goes back into the corner. Feels like this one is surely getting towards its conclusion. Jericho grabbing Sammy. But over in the corner, Jericho looking to try and... I don't know what he's trying to go for, actually. We're in an interesting spot here. Some shots coming in by Sammy. As Jericho is in the corner. Is this going to be Spanish Fly? So another, a cutter off the top. Well, I mean, he went for it before and he didn't get the pin. So, yeah, and he doesn't get the pin there. So I don't know what Jericho was going for. They took too long to set that one up, said Gerald's. Love Island, I see Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona will be there, said Jason. That didn't look very good, said Travis. Yeah, I didn't think that looked very good. And especially considering we just had a spot that was a bit similar not too long before. Against the ropes goes Sammy. Jericho went for like a drop kick. Jericho's flat on his back. Why doesn't he get up? Double knees. Yeah, that was a bit silly of Sammy. Good commentary by Taz. Taz said, I think Sammy just got a bit desperate there. That wasn't a good move. I agree, it wasn't a good move. But Jericho planting Sammy face first into the mat. He's trying to fire up the fans. There we go. Lion Salt by Jericho to kick out by Sammy. Lion Salt by Jericho. Didn't quite get the height on it. Still got it, though. Shots coming in. Ultimate Warrior was the worst in-ring performer in the history of wrestling, said Inside Out and Again. Miss Tahil said, if you was booking the show, how would you have booked tonight's card? I think tonight's card looks quite good. I'm not really too down on tonight's cards. I don't have really any problems with it. Knee strike coming in there by Sammy. Jericho down. Sammy on the outsides. Looking to try and go up top. Here we go. He's trying to drag his way to the top there, Sammy. Sammy is perched. Taking his time here, isn't he? He's taking a long time. Shooting star, but it's double knees by Jericho. Do you know what? This match has just made Sammy look like an idiot to me. And he's lost. I'm glad he lost. I'm glad he lost. That match made Sammy look like an idiot. There's a few moments there where Sammy has gone for moves where you go, why is he going for that? Why is he going for that? You know, he went, Jericho was flat on his back after missing a drop kick, and you could see Jericho looking to see what Sammy was doing. Sammy still went and did a big aerial move, and Jericho managed to get his knees up. Brilliant. Brilliant. I got no problem with that, because I would have had more of a problem if Jericho had took the move and had allowed Sammy to hit that move, because it didn't make sense. And so I really appreciate Jericho getting his knees up. And exactly the same there. We said, this is taking too long. This is taking way too long. And again, credit to AEW, credit to Jericho. Jericho hits a move on Sammy. Sammy's move, shooting star, doesn't come off. Double knees by Jericho. And Sammy loses the match. So an interesting story here. Not the direction I thought they were going to go in. I thought they were going to give Sammy the win and they were going to make him look good. But now we've got a hurt Sammy. A Sammy that couldn't get past Jericho. They're embracing at the moment. Sammy low blows Jericho. Sammy low blows Jericho. Jericho gets pushed aside. Oh, now there is a shock. I'm not shocked at Sammy turning, right? But I am shocked to see Don Callis come walking down. No, that's good. That's good. I mean, I don't know how thrilled Don Callis is going to be that the person he's just picked up for his family lost clean to Jericho. But I like Don Callis coming down. The turn, it just felt like someone was turning. You know, Jericho and Sammy, there's been problems there. Him turning on Jericho doesn't shock me. Him aligning with Don Callis was a good move. I like that. Was all right. That was all right. Okay, here is MJF and Adam Cole. It's bad enough that you shoved me. You took and you took and you took. So we're hearing from MJF right now. You're trying to hurt my brother. Tonight, I'm going to choke you out in front of my people. We're better than you. Adam Cole. So Max says, you have got my back tonight, haven't you? But Adam Cole has got a little emergency he's got to go and deal with. Okay, good, fine. Unprofessional. Sammy, the newest member of the sexual harassment club. I mean, the Don Callis family, says Travis. Whoever said Warrior was the worst in-ring clearly never saw Eva Marie. I saw Eva Marie. I saw. Samoa Joe really deserves that AEW belt. I'm not going to lie, says Heather. Oh, I'm glad you feel that way. I feel that way. Oh, there was a voice that was just talking to me. I think I can hear what they're playing inside Arthur Ashe right now. They're playing a video package. Phoenix. I can hear Nigel McGuinness like commentary, and I can hear a few different commentators like Excalibur. It sounds like clips from between Phoenix, Jon Moxley. When we go back, I think Phoenix, Jon Moxley will be next because I'm hearing clips being played for Phoenix and Jon Moxley. Oblongbox said, I think AEW has a clause in their contract saying that most of the wrestlers have to switch from heel to face multiple times in the span of 1 year. David said, this is all a work. Roddy will be revealed as Joe's son, and he will get off his hospital bed and help his father beat MJF. Liv Morgan, New Jersey's Canassa Summit. Sure, go ahead. I think Rey Fenix beats Moxley and wins the international title. A typical F-up like always, says James. Dean said, what wrestler would you like to take on holiday with you? Oh, hey. I've got to think about what I want to do. What I want to do. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think you'd want to take Bryan Daniel. I mean, like, he's Danielson. He's going to be a bit, I mean, just going on about the environment. I don't need that. I think I'd want to take someone that's you're going to have a good time with. Someone that you're going to go have a few drinks with, good nights out with. Do you know what I mean? You're just going to have a really good time. you're not going to have a good time with Adam Cole. He's going to be in the hotel room playing video games, right? I don't know, man. Who would you... There's a lot of people that have got families. Like, I mean, Roman's got a family. Who could you go and have a good time with? Question. That's where my head's at. I'm thinking, like, someone that's not attached. I suppose MJF, but... I don't think MJF would necessarily want to hang out with, like, you or me. So we got Sammy backstage with Don Callis. Yeah, I'm thinking someone like MJF, but maybe someone that's a bit more fun. Like MJF, you could go to a bar with and have a good night out with, but I don't know. He's also, like, in my mind, a heel and a bit of a douche. So I'd want someone like that, but more face. Someone like that, but more face. Someone that goes out drinking and having a good time. God only knows what kind of trouble you'd get in with Matt Riddle. I ain't doing that. Forget that. Scrap that. Seth Rollins got a kid and Becky. Ain't doing that. To Samoa Joe. AEW roster flip sides more than Big Show. Do you know what? Maybe Grayson Waller. I reckon you could have a good night out with Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller might be the right shout. I reckon you could go have a really good night out with Grayson Waller. And as long as, I know he's a heel, but I don't know that it would be as problematic as having a night out with MJF. That doesn't strike me as the right perfect answer, but I would probably... Grayson Waller's the one I'm leaning towards. Triple T, shout out to you. Triple T, a massive AEW fan. No surprise that he's here. I suppose the only surprise is that he didn't go to Arthur Ashe to watch the show live for $15. Right, Moxley against Phoenix. First, Phoenix. First hour down. Almost 3 minutes. Next commercial break, we'll do halftime scores. Yeah, I ain't taking Matt Riddle, Kevin. But that is the kind of place that my mind was going to, like that kind of just have a good time. If I go on holiday, like I don't mind relaxing in the day, in the sun, whatever. But nighttime, I'm definitely looking to have a few drinks, hit the bars, just have a good time, you know? I ain't someone that goes and just like sunbathes all day, has a meal, and then goes to sleep. Definitely looking to have a good time on the night, so... Yeah, a Riddle would make sense if I weren't going to be getting in the kind of trouble I think I'd be getting into if I was with Riddle. Moxley on the entrance ramp. We've always said NXT is a good product, just not getting as much love or gets cast away when you see 4 weeks over 700,000, back-to-back weeks over 800,000. I feel happy for them. Yeah. Phoenix going over, throwing in some shots to Jon Moxley. We are underway with Moxley against Phoenix. This is the match that's going to take us from hour 1 into hour 2. Travis said, I predict 5 minutes or less. Moxley will bleed. Phoenix comes crashing down onto Jon Moxley on the outside. I could date any... chicks to my waffle pays me and gives me the okay. Holiday with Adam Rose or No Way Jose. That's a lot of dancing. Certainly with No Way Jose. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Moxley slumping down to his knees. Again, going down. Oh, big chop coming in there by Phoenix. You could go the other way and like pick like a wrestler you admire so you could just chat to them in the daytime. But I don't know how much fun that would be for them. You've also got to worry about maybe what if they're a bit of a douche, you know? Roll up looking for a pin by Moxley. Kick out there by Fenix. Kip up by Fenix. Moxley helping Fenix against the ropes. Fenix jumping over. Leg sweep. Working on the arm. Chop coming in. Gonna go against the ropes. Goes up. He comes down. Arm dragged to Moxley. Moxley on his feet. Fenix rolls through. Fenix rolling, and as he pops up, gets smashed in the face. Against ropes goes Moxley. Curb stomp. Curb stomp by Jon Moxley. 1, 2, and shoulder up. Again, shots coming in. New see. Oh, did anyone watch that flipping haunted WWE YouTube thing today? That was wild. Shotzi and Scarlett go into a haunted prison with Dominic and Rhea. It was long. Chops coming in. Oh, it's going to be like a, 8-10 minute thing. I'm sure it goes to like 20 odd minutes. Kick coming in there by Jon Moxley. Fenix on the outsides. What about Steve Blackman or Dean Malenko or Lance Storm on a night out where you could have a good conversation and you'd certainly feel safe? I don't know that you're going to be having are you going to have a banging You'd have a good conversation about wrestling, but I don't know how much fun you're going to have on the nighttime. Whilst you're lying there topping up your tan, you could certainly ask him a load of interesting questions about their time, WWF, WCW, just like, pick their brains, whatever, but don't know that you're having a party on the nighttime. Right now, Fenix is being draped and dropped, planted in the ringside area. So, action continuing. Michael, shout out to you. Cursed One said, I did watch it. It was what it was. It was a WWE production. I'm going on Wednesday. It's cool with Dom and Rhea, said Tracy. The answer is Jericho. Oh, man, is the answer Jericho? I don't know. Would I have to listen to Judas? I mean, Jericho ticks a lot of boxes because Jericho might be the answer, actually. You know that you're going to have a good night out with Jericho. And just think of all the flipping stuff you can talk to Jericho about. My only concern would be at some point where he goes, do you mind if I put on a bit of Fozzy? That would be my concern. Because that for me is, that could be a deal breaker. So, top rope, Inzaguri by Fenix. Another kick to the face there by Fenix. Fenix rolling through. Got into a cutter as the ref counts. Only gets a 2. Fenix going over to the corner. Goes up top. Frog splash by Fenix. 1, 2. Kick out by Moxley. Lance Storm and interesting don't belong in the same sentence. Feel like you could talk to him about wrestling. But yeah, I don't know that you're probably not waking up the next morning like after having a wild night out, let's put it that way. So Fenix just got turned inside out there. Moxley, stand in. Night out with the Sandman. I feel Finn is a solid shot as well, said Gerald. Just drinking beers and making fun of bad faders. Night out with the APA. That would have been quite good back in the day. Oh my God, could you imagine going on a night out with some from the Attitude Era? How wild that would have been. Feels a bit different now, doesn't it? Doesn't feel quite as wild. Fenix up top. Oh, great move. That was great. That looked good. So Moxley was draped over the barricade. Fenix delivers a leg drop to the outside. That's such a monstrous move, and no one cares. Oh man, how has wrestling got itself into the situation where someone can do a move that looks as great as that, and the crowd just don't seem to be that bothered? It looked great. Leg drop, back of the head. It planted Moxley. And to be honest, I think the reason why people just didn't bother that much was because they knew that it was not going to finish the match. And now look at Moxley. Moxley back to full strength in the ring. Just acting like that move just didn't happen. No selling. Walking around, strolling around, back to full health. By relief by Moxley. Middle of the ring, and Fenix trying to get over to the ropes. Crossface being applied. That's what happens when they hit Canadian Destroyer. When you hit a Canadian Destroyer every other move. Moxley keeping Fenix grounded. Fenix being picked up. Oh, pile driver. Really nice driver as well. Looks really good. 1, 2. Shoulder up. Look really good, that pile driver. Look really good. Moxley on his feet. Looking out at the fans. Fenix is down. Moxley's gone over. Are we at commercial? It does feel a bit slow. Chop coming in. Fenix goes down. Another chop coming in. Shot of... Oh, I think we just came back from commercial. All of a sudden, we just went to this wide shot showing the crowds, and Excalibur just started like, welcome to Grand Slam. Said before, I do think that's a real problem with the fight coverage, is us seeing the action when everyone else goes to commercial break. Because the matches just die. And they just like, a couple of chops and it really slows down. Headbutt coming in there by Fenix. Moxley goes down. Fenix goes up. Double stomp. Springboards. Double stomp there by Fenix. Lands on top of Jon Moxley. Goes for the cover. 1, 2. He was never going to get the 3 off it, but Moxley getting his shoulder up. Match continues. We've still got the Women's Championship match. After that, of course, MJF in action. Moxley has got Fenix up, but reversing here. Fenix going back against the ropes. A couple of elbows coming in. Shots coming into the midsection there by Jon Moxley as Fenix goes to the outsides. Moxley stepping out, coming after Fenix. Moxley going up the entrance ramp. Going to do a curb. Curb. Don't quite know how that curb came about, to be honest, but curb came around there. What's your halftime scores? We'll get to them. We'll get to them. I try to be positive about anything and everything. I am a bit tired of being taken for granted. I just want to have a breakdown. Oh, Trini. What's up, bud? Oh, sorry to be on a downer. I just sucked today. Listen, Trini, we all have those days, mate. We all have those days. After yourself, turn that frown upside down. Things are never as bad as they seem. Chin up, kids. Chin up. I'd say a trip with James Ellsworth would be a that action. That would be a that action. That action. Shots coming into the midsection. This is what happens when you see the same spots and high-risk moves week in, week out, said James. Phoenix grabbing Moxley. He's got Moxley on his... Oh, driver. Plants him down. Head first, goes for the cover. 2. What? What? Why didn't he count the 3? Why didn't he count the 3? 2. Are we telling a story of a crooked ref? Is that a crooked ref story? He didn't count the 3. Phoenix then responded by planting Moxley. Unless Moxley... Huh? I think there might be actual concern for Moxley here. I think Moxley might have actually knocked himself out silly. Refs, there's a... Do you know what? We can joke about the finish and we can have fun with the finish, right? I don't know if they're telling a crooked ref story. It was definitely a 3 count that the ref did not count. That's going to be a big talking point. But right now, the bigger concern is if Jon Moxley's all right. To be perfectly truthful, that's the bigger concern. Because there's a lot of confusion. There's a new champion. Phoenix is the new champion, but Moxley did not kick out when I think he was meant to. And I think he's knocked himself. Well, not knocked himself, but I think that move has knocked him a bit silly. They're not showing Moxley, and Moxley is still laid out flat in the ring. There is someone in the ring just tending to him at the moment. But that was a 1, 2, 3 that was not counted. Here's Samoa Joe. Maybe some of his upset LSW. Yeah, we've got a situation there, which hopefully we get some news on. So you know that driver where he like planted him on the top of his head. That's where the finish comes from. Just looking on social media, seeing what's... did Moxley get hurt? Did they call an audible? Hope Moxley is all right. I am shocked. But there's people asking if an audible was called. Obviously, Moxley is hurt. Obviously, it's a mistake. AEW doesn't suck just because one match goes weird. Well, yeah, no, look, I agree. I think there's a bigger issue here. I think there's a bigger issue. I think Jon Moxley's health is a bigger concern. I'm looking to see. That finish. I'm looking to see the counts. No one's posted a clip of it yet. I don't want to show pictures of Moxley down and like medics around him because like who knows what's going on there. There are images of that on social media. You can search for them. You can find them. So it is a win for... It is a win for Phoenix. I'm not bothered about Moxley not kicking out of the finish. I'm more bothered about the 3 count that was before. That I'm trying to find a replay of, and I can't find a replay. Hopefully they'll give us an update. I'm sure they will. This is going to be probably the biggest talking point coming out of the show so far. I watched it back. Moxley said he was hurt, says AR1. Right. Mox has walked out under his own power. Okay, we're getting some good updates now. So Mox walked out under his own power, but ripped off his tape and verbally screamed the F word. I'm told that from someone at the show, says Colby. It's going to be a concussion at least. Kyle said, that's on the ref. Moxley clearly didn't kick out. He had to take the move again. That would never happen in WWE. Of all the wacky Mox matches, he gets hurt in a regular one with no blood, said Zoom Station. Torch said it was a botch. Moxley's eyes were open looking at the ref, the sign of kicking out. Gerald said he did recently put out a statement saying that he had arthritis. Maybe that plays a role. Mr. Quake said AEW is not ballet. Accidents happen. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I wasn't paying attention. I think I missed, but Moxley looked hurt for real. Yeah. If it's hurt, that he dropped him on his head, that was pretty dumb. Mr. Quake says, Days, you hate CM Punk. Do I hate CM Punk? I don't hate CM Punk. He said he was hurt. Apparently, I think, was it AR1 said he went back and looked at it? I mean, good news then if it sounds like he's got up and walked out of his own accords. That would, because I mean, right now he could be paralyzed or anything. So if word is that he's got up and walked out, then that's obviously fantastic news. And clearly there's no update or anything. Jon Moxley definitely got hurt bad. No way you don't get concussed after that. What the F was that ending? It made the ref look stupid. I need to see it. Do you know what I don't understand? Maybe it was an audible that got called. So maybe Jon Moxley hurt himself, right? Wow, I mean, now that Jon Moxley's apparently up and walking around, he's clearly not in the ring now. There's no words or anything on social media that Jon Moxley is, like, really injured or whatever. Toni Storm's making her way out. We can have a look at a couple of pictures. So Toni Storm coming down. I love the black and white image that she's got. It's coming down in black and white. She looks great, man. She looks really good. Here's Phoenix with his shocked face. Phoenix's shocked face. There's the image of Moxley down in the ring. Let's do a quick little video because I feel like there's talking points here. Hello, image that's not quite big enough to fit the screen. How you doing? Make you bigger? Yeah. So, interesting development coming out of AEW Grand Slam. This moment right here is going to be the talk of the wrestling world for lots of different reasons. Jon Moxley was down. The referee started counting and did not count the 3, right? Moxley did not move. This is what it looked like as the ref should have counted the 3, but the ref didn't count it. The match continued anyway. And what's a bit confusing is that Rey Fenix would still go on to win. So the ref could have counted the 3 and ended the match just moments before. But Rey Fenix continued, delivered like a driver type move, and ended up beating Moxley all the same. So there's a lot of confusion here. Afterwards, I've got to tell you that there were people in the ring dealing with Jon Moxley. Now, word coming from Arthur Ashe is that Moxley did get up and leave of his own accord. Certainly, there's been no mention on the show. He's not in the ring or anything along those lines. But you can see people dealing with Moxley. There's also word on social media that as he got up and walked out, he kind of swore and looked very frustrated. Really don't know that this match went the way it was meant to go. I don't know that we were meant to get a new champion here. It might have been that Moxley did get like knocked silly and wasn't able to do the planned finish. It doesn't explain why the referee didn't count the 3 the first time, though. Him just counting 2 looks weird. And again, it doesn't make sense because moments later he does count the 3 and Rey Fenix goes on to win. I think that there was a real injury here. I think there was a real issue here. And I think the ref has tried to save the situation and not count the 3 so that we get a new champion, because I don't believe that was the plan. But obviously this is going to be a developing situation. It does look stupid for the ref, but obviously there's a bigger issue here, and the bigger issue is Jon Moxley's health. I think he definitely could have picked up a concussion from this. Obviously, no words on that. There will be word afterwards. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that this was not the planned finish. But the good news is, reports are Moxley got up and he walked out of his own accord. Right, let's go back to this, shall we? Because I feel like there's going to be a lot to talk about with that match. A lot of developing stories, I would imagine, as well. So we will keep an eye on that situation. But we do have to keep our eye on this. What I will say is the one match that I wasn't really looking forward to, the one match that I really wasn't bothered about, was the Moxley Fenix one. And that has just provided like the biggest talking point from the show so far tonight. So interesting. Right, the shoe. Toni has got some shoes and she is walloping Saraya with them. It's got a shoe in the back of her ring gear. Watch for the shoe. Walloping Ruby as well. Okay, we're going to picture in picture. DDT. So action still continuing as we've got... I don't know if we should be doing this angle straight after the flipping... Straight after the angle we just had. But right now we've got Ruby showing some concern for Saraya. Scream there by Saraya, who's over by the ropes. Oh, man, Toni really grabbing at Saraya's neck and planting her with a DDT. Toni's being quite vicious in this match. She knows that Saraya's neck is a concern, and she is really going after that. Look at that, planting her on the outside of the ring. We've got Ruby on the outsides. Face first into the commentary table. I thought you didn't get picture-in-picture. Don't get picture-in-picture, buds. It looked like Moxley got a stinger and couldn't move his arm. Oof. I mean, just because he got up and walked out, it doesn't mean that he's out of the woods. But what it does mean is that he's not paralyzed. And certainly right now, it doesn't look like his life is in danger, right? Which is obviously fantastic news. Because that kind of thing, you know, you do something to your neck. If you get dropped on the top of your head, you know, you do something to your neck, you jar your neck or whatever, like, don't want to mess around with that stuff, man. So I know that the talk's going to be about the botch. I know there's going to be a lot of ridicule. I know that people are going to go in on AEW and all that kind of stuff and fill your boots. I don't care. But for me, the bigger concern was definitely Moxley's health there. So great news that he walked out. That is being reported on like social media as well. Powerbomb. So right now we got Saraya looking for the pin. And I think we are coming back to the action. Yeah, I don't have picture-in-picture. I just have picture. Sometimes I go to a graphic. Sometimes I don't go to a graphic. Sometimes I just stay with the action. And this time we haven't gone anywhere. We've stayed with the action. Saraya is just not hitting since coming back, says Gerald's. Okay, these two throwing in some shots. Heavy blows coming in there by Toni Storm. I really like what Toni Storm's doing at the moment. Toni on her feet, going over to the corner. She's pulling off that bottom turnbuckle pad and exposing the metal. Right now, she's grabbed some spray paint as well. But Ruby grabs the spray paint. So Ruby on the outside. She gets sprayed in the face by Saraya. Saraya plants Toni. 1, 2. Kick out by Toni Storm. Toni Storm kicks out. Saraya is shocked. She can't believe it. She just sprayed that green spray paint in the face of Toni Storm, planted her. Couldn't get the 3 counts. I like Toni Storm. I mean, I think Saraya was a great talent. Obviously limited now because of the injury that she sustained. But right now, Toni exposed that bottom turnbuckle. But Saraya won't do it. Why? She's the heel. Why won't she do it? Charges over. Goes to kick at Toni. Why didn't she do it? She's the heel, isn't she? Saraya in the middle of the ring. Toni's putting Saraya's foot down. Gives her a kiss. And now Storm Zero to kick out by Saraya. Don't know about that sequence. Didn't do it for me. New York went crazy when it saw 2 women kissing, though. Loved it. Right now, Saraya is over in the corner. She's got her head against that exposed turnbuckle. She's going to charge over. She hips attacks, but doesn't really connect with that exposed turnbuckle. And then she gets planted by Saraya. 1, 2, 3. Saraya wins. I think that's a real messy match, man. Way too much going on in that. No issue with Saraya retaining, but I definitely would have booked that differently. So Saraya managing to get past Toni. The wrestling tonight has been a bit slippy, says Mr. Unfamiliar. Nip slips. I don't know if there was. I mean, what I do know is that Saraya's breasticles are definitely as close to slipping out as I think they'll ever be, unless they actually slip. But I've not seen nipplage. I can't see any nipplage there at the moment, and trust me, I am magnifying that part of the screen right now. Toni Storm couldn't get the job done. Right, let's change over the poll. That's what I was in my head. I was like, you need to do something. I was like, what is it, head? It's start a poll. Right. Who leaves as AEW Champione? No, seriously, what was the story of that match, Gerald? Well, Toni Storm's crazy. And Saraya retained. That's the story of the match. MJF, Samoa Joe. Mike Santana is in action on Friday. The Acclaimed and Daddy Ass taking on the Dark Order. Gerald, shout out to you. So, 62% of people called it. Saraya wins. Over 600 votes. We've also got Sky Blue against Julia Hart. We've also got Mogul Embassy against Hangman and the Young Bucks. Alex said, I'm liking her new twins. I think Paige has done well with them. Magnifying. Kiss of Death, maybe, says, let him in. A Kiss of Death type thing would be fine. But I didn't think that she'd weakened Saraya enough. It felt like they were both standing opposite each other and they were both pretty fine. It didn't feel like Saraya was like out and she was giving her that like final kick. And then she didn't win anyway. FTR against the Work Horsemen on Collision. Starks against Danielson in a Texas death match on Collision. Edge is going to re-sign with the E after seeing this garbage, said Lord Rupert Everton. On Dynamite next week, Hangman Swerve contract signing. Swerve against Hangman is taking place at WrestleDream. FTR against Aussie Open at WrestleDream. Bryan Danielson against Zack Sabre Jr. at WrestleDream. Dream match. 1 week from Sunday. Coming up next, though, MJF, the AEW World Champion, takes on Samoa Joe, the Ring of Honor World TV Champion. That match coming up. I like Swerve, yeah. 6 out of 10 would be my halftime score, said Mr. Tahil. Didn't see the halftime scores. I mean, the flipping... Have to wait for full-time scores. Got in the way, didn't it? The old Moxley knocking himself silly. Knocked himself stupid. I mean, look, these things happen. I know there'll be, as I said, a lot of people that will go in on it. I would, though, just question why, even now that we know that Moxley's okay, right? Now that we know that things weren't as bad as we first thought, I would just question why in AEW they don't have a rule where if they don't kick out, you count the shoulders. Why does that rule not exist? 1, 2, 3. Not 1, 2. Oh, I thought I saw a shoulder twitch. I mean, Jade Cargill didn't kick out when she was in her match. I forget against who. But she didn't kick out. And Aubrey didn't count the 3 either. Clearly, there is no just count the 3 rule in AEW, and it does make them look stupid. I mean, all that's done is to people watching that maybe aren't going, oh, he really was injured and all that kind of stuff. Just people that have tuned in that might think that that's the planned finish. Like, they will be very confused. There's going to need to be some explaining done. And you can't even say, because my first reaction was he's not counted the 3. Is this a dodgy ref? Is this ref like working for Moxley or something? Has he been bought by Blackpool Cup? But then moments later, Phoenix secures the win anyway. So you can't use that as an excuse. How the hell are you going to explain the fact the referee didn't count that 3? How are you going to explain it? How would I explain it? I don't know how I'd explain it. Don't know. Do you try and go with, well, the referee was bought to not count the 3, but no, I mean, I don't know how you explain it. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they'll just try and ignore it. Maybe they'll just try and move on and be like, well, what do you mean? He didn't count the 3. Aren't you more concerned about Jon Moxley, who's now got concussion? Yeah, but we know he's all right. He got up, he walked out, everything's all right, you know? All right. With Mania being in Philly, I can see WWE 2K24 having an ECW pack with DLC, says James. Okay, here we go then. Time for our main event of the evening. I need to see what Sean Rossap's saying, actually. Sean knows. Sean knows people, doesn't he? Sean's in on the know. See what he's saying. That was a smooth full finish moment. Randy back. Needless to say, the finish of Moxley Phoenix. Needless to say, the finish of Moxley and Phoenix wasn't supposed to go that way. We are working to find out more. Fortunately, Moxley walked out on his own, and that's the important part. Yep, I think that's. Oof. Tell you what, I'm only now just seeing the slow-mo replay. Hey, look at this. Yes. Oh, they're kind of playing off on the Brett thing. That's fun. Bret Hart used to do that where the kid calls after Brett and Brett comes back. Gives him his glasses. MJF just did it and whispered something, and the kid says, I'm adopted. I want to show you this. I want to show you this. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. I didn't realize that was set up like that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that was over there. Oh, yeah. I thought it was going to be like full on big screen. covering my face and everything, but it's just over there. Okay. Look at that. So Sean retweeting Ryan. Look at that, man. I don't even know. To be honest, I think that I haven't seen the match. Well, I have seen the match, but I haven't seen the end since I saw it. Isn't this what happens after? Is this, does he not kick out and then we get this? Or is this what resulted in him not kicking out? Because I thought that Phoenix delivered this and then got the 3, which would mean that the 2 that should have been a 3 happened before this. Great work, Phoenix. Great work, mate. Well done. Well done, Phoenix. Ooh. Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe in the one corner. Over in the other corner, MJF. I've not seen Adam Cole Bay down at the ring. Big Time said that slow-mo is brutal. Better than you, baby. Perhaps Mox told the ref to call an audible, but the ref was confused and they did the pinfall again. To be honest, he might have just not responded the first time. And because the ref didn't count the 3, they probably had to go with the argument that the ref thought he saw something. He thought he saw, like, the shoulder come up, so they just did it again. That sucks, though, doesn't it? Do you know what? This is why counting the 3 is actually, like, even from a safety point of view, like, the thing to do. The ref could have counted 1, 2, 3. It's not his fault that Moxley doesn't kick out. But because the ref didn't count the 3, that means that Phoenix had to continue with the match. So he ends up doing another move and then getting the 3. If Moxley has knocked himself silly and has actually, like, to the point where he legitimately doesn't know where he is and he legitimately can't kick out, right? So in a way, like, what Phoenix just did there is win the match for real. Really incapacitated someone where they couldn't answer the 3 count. Like, that's what wrestling is meant to be. And so it could be that he's knocked Moxley out like silly. Moxley can't answer the 3. And so the ref, that's why the ref should count it. Because all that's happened now is Moxley has took more unnecessary punishment and Phoenix has gone on to win the match anyway. Right, we've got MJF getting slammed down, and MJF is teasing that he is injured. Samoa Joe clubbing MJF across the back, stomping away at MJF. Who is going to win? Who is going to leave the AEW champion? Shots coming in there by Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe in control at the moment. MJF is down in the corner. MJF has got, I think, like baseball-inspired gear, like maybe New York Yankees, maybe type vibe. There's a sign in the crowd that says, scumbag. Gerald said, the last thing on that ref situation, from a health perspective, the ref should always count and check on the health after. Could be why Renee was mad. Was Renee mad? I haven't heard. Is there word that Renee is upset? I'd imagine she is. I mean, in my mind there, Moxley's took a move he didn't need to take. Photo sent Renee, Claudio. Okay, there's an image here from WrestleVotes. Here's an image for you. This shows, this is from WrestleVotes. I mean, it doesn't really say a great deal, but it just says, this is a photo sent to WrestleVotes. Renee, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, Tony Khan outside of Jon Moxley's trailer right now. Well, of course, Renee's going to be there. Good to see the Blackpool Combat Club boys sticking together, even in real situations. Blackpool Combat Club right there. That looks a bit Orange Cassidy-ish, doesn't it? Don't know who that is next to Tony. There's Tony, though. I mean, yeah, it's clear, isn't it, that that's not the way that was meant to go. And it is the big talking point coming out of this show. So it looks like conversations being had backstage. Gerald, shout out to you, buds. Renee definitely looks like she's scolding them, says Gerald's. John Ross Sapp said that Renee and the doctors were not thrilled and peeved. Oh, man. Another AEW show. More real drama. Let's go. This company. God bless them. God bless this company. I don't know why they keep booking this real drama and why they don't book like better like stories on their actual show. But they flipping love it, don't they? The real drama. Do you know who's going to be blamed for this? Flipping CM Punk. Yeah, the slow-mo of that is flipping insane. AEW is having a run of bad luck. I can identify with that. Well, do you know what, Trini? AEW will turn it around, and so will you. How about that? AEW is the company that just keeps on giving. Do you think Moxley feared for his life? No, but I think that Toni did. I think Toni watched that match and his overriding emotion was that he feared for his life. Referee is counting the pin as Samoa Joe is firmly in control. Firmly in control. It has been domination so far. Alex said if they had a backstage uncut show, I think it would rival Dynamite. Well, they did. Is it still on? But it ain't got the real juicy stuff I was looking for. The referee just told Joe to stop, but then didn't seem to say words to him. Right, we're back from commercial break. That Moxley spot is giving me major Owen and Austin flashbacks. Days is being a sweetie. I can do it, Trini. I can do it. There is some warmth inside here. Not much. A little bit. Enough. Roll through by MJF going for the cover. Samoa Joe kicks out. Super kick coming in by MJF, who looks out at the crowd. MJF coming over. Short arm lariat by MJF. And again. MJF going against the ropes, collides into Samoa Joe. Again, big, wow, monstrous clothing. Shoulder up by Samoa Joe, shoulder up by MJF. Commentators thought there was going to be a new champion. Still 11 minutes left of the show. Don't they know how TV works? Lol. Not going to have a new champion with 11 minutes to go, are we, idiot? That's why I said uncut. Imagine they put it all out on a Wednesday and it'd be sitting there with popcorn, said Alex. Yeah, man. He grabs that shirt, wipes his undercarriage with it, Samoa Joe. Throws it at MJF. Now he's pushing MJF around. MJF's trying to fire himself up. Headbutt by Samoa Joe. MJF trying to get back into this. Well, picture's disappeared. Where's the picture gone? Where's the picture gone? Picture's back. Samoa Joe collides into the corner. Shots coming in. Face first. Only fault you can give Phoenix is that he should have done a simpler move, not pick Moxley up for that pile driver, said Gerald's. So much no selling, said Lord Rupert. You spelled Samoa Joe? Oh, yeah. Samoa Joe. Do you know what? I like Samoa Joe. I'll change it. Bum, bum, bum. Ba-bum. MJF is fired up. Kangaroo kick, man, for this nonsense. Samoa Joe on the outside of the ring. Come on, MJF, says Legend Killer. Did anyone else just have a blackout? I had blackout. New York is vocal for the hometown hero. But in all fairness, I think pretty much every venue would have been vocal for MJF. Undeniably king of the mountain at the moment in AEW. Going against the ropes, Samoa Joe on the outside, kick coming in. Samoa Joe grabbing MJF. Picking him up, got him on his shoulders, looking to plant him on the edge of the ring. Oh my God! Samoa Joe messing up MJF. Laughing his head off as well. Damn. Right on the edge of the ring. Oh. Going for the cover, 2. Shoulder up by MJF. Joe's laugh is so venomous. I love it. AEW has more production botches and stream errors than Impact's. AEW Wrestling give better real-life drama than kayfabe drama. Samoa Joe has got a table, putting it over against the barricades. Don't do that, Joe. You don't need to do that. You'll probably end up going through it yourself. Joe with MJF. Joe with a table. I hate the apron spots, but that works, says Heather. Going for a Uranagi. Oh, he did drive MJF through it. Uranagi by Samoa Joe. Grabbing MJF. MJF planting on the edge of the ring. Planted through a table on the outsides. MJF being thrown into the ring. Samoa Joe comes in. Going for the cover. 1, 2. Shoulder up by MJF. Shoulder up. Coach Cody said to all the kids out there, make sure after you go to the bathroom and you take a doo-doo, do not wash your hands. Go to your parents and slap them until they doo-doo and then feed it to the cat. Meow, meow. Really good advice there from Coach Co. Appreciate the support, my friends. As Samoa Joe is exposing the floorboards. I don't think it is floorboards, is it? Inside this arena, it's going to be a concrete floor. Concrete floor. In Arthur Ashe. He's exposing the tennis court. MJF is about to be driven onto the tennis court. I think MJF just bit Samoa Joe. Now he's going to drive Joe onto that exposed floor. But he can't do it. He can't do it. Kick to the midsection there by Joe. Joe. Oh, pile driver. Pile driver by Samoa Joe. There's a sick smile that comes across his face. MJF is down. We've got medics that have come over to check. So right now he's coming over. He's knocking all the doctors away. Joe grabbing MJF, hurling MJF in the ring. Could you imagine if, by the way, Jon Moxley is out for a while? Kick out by MJF. So they've lost CM Punk. Danielson said he's going to wrap it up in about 12 months' time. And they might have just lost Jon Moxley for a little bit. Bum bum bum. Just having a look, seeing if Sean Ross Sapp's reported anything new. He hasn't. Just keeping an eye on it. Just keeping an eye. MJF slumps down. We got 4 minutes left in the show. This is better than MJF Adam Cole, says WWE AEW fan. I rate Samoa Joe so highly. I think it's so real. It's so hard hitting. It's so satisfying. Powerbomb though by MJF. Kick out by Samoa Joe. So Joe has, the story of the match has been Joe dominating MJF, putting him through a table, pile drivering him onto a concrete floor. I mean, Joe probably should have done enough to have got the win, but I don't think anyone's really expecting Samoa Joe to win. If we have a look at our poll, might as well end it. The good majority, vast majority of people have voted for MJF to pick up the victory. Joe getting up to his feet. Chop coming in. MJF goes back against the ropes. Forearm strike there by MJF. These two exchanging shots in the ring, back and forth. Super kick there by MJF. Joe goes back against the ropes. Forearm strike by Joe. And again, shots coming in. Joe against the ropes. Sleeper hold applied there by MJF. Joe! Oh, the referee. Low blow by MJF. Samoa Joe goes back in the corner. The referee didn't see it. And now MJF is going to look to use that ring. Look at this. You got Samoa Joe, man. I mean, he's... Oh, hello. Referee gets pulled in the way. Referee sees the ring. Oh, low blow by Joe. Low blow by MJF. Low blow by Joe. Muscle buster. Muscle buster. Joe. 1, 2. Ah! Kick out by MJF. The muscle buster connected. Damn. World title match. MJF getting chance. I think that was Joe's chance, wasn't it? MJF fading. We are getting to the final moments of this. There's only a minute left. That happened so close to the end. That absolutely could have been it. But here comes Adam Cole, baby. Has Adam Cole hurt his leg when he fell then? Adam Cole seemed to... Oh, my God. is Adam Cole's presence gonna be enough to fire up MJF to fight out of this? Help him. His friend. Roll through by MJF to kick out by Samoa Joe. Sleeper hold applied by MJF. MJF gets driven back into the corner. Adam Cole jumps up. Samoa Joe tries to hit Adam Cole. MJF choking Samoa Joe. But you know what? If Samoa Joe is going to go down, at least he's going to go down looking like the better guy, the bigger guy, the guy that could have got the job done. But right now, look, MJF is choking out Samoa Joe. Referee's in. Joe is unresponsive, and MJF retains. If Samoa Joe's going to lose, that's, you know, as a Samoa Joe fan, you can't ask for really a more credible way for him to go than for MJF to choke out Samoa Joe and, you know, cheat his way to victory. He dropped the thing that he just used to choke out Samoa Joe. He distracts the ref. Adam Cole comes in, grabs the bit of string or whatever it was. Why is the referee gone down? Referee's down. Samoa Joe is getting back up to his feet now. Joe pushes Adam Cole. MJF jumps in between. Referee is down. This match is over. Joe puts his hand out. Puts his hand out to MJF. Handshake. Joe walks off. So Samoa Joe walks away. MJF slumps down to a knee. And MJF retains that AEW championship. Adam Cole came down. MJF sign. Don't shake his hand, Joe, said the Beach Kevin. MJF goes down onto one knee. I want to have a look, see if Sean Rossap's saying anything more about the Moxley thing. Samoa Joe shakes MJF's hand. Nothing yet. MJF holding up that championship. MJF might need to take some time off, said Jonathan. This whole damn show is hurt, says AR1. Imagine someone kicking you in the groin, choking you out, and then shaking his hand, says Gerald. Yeah, the only thing I would say, though, is that Samoa Joe is someone that's quite happy to cut corners. I think outfoxing a fox, I could understand why Joe would be like, okay, yeah, fair play, you won that. You won that. When it comes to like that kind of heel mentality, anything goes. I'm going to do anything to you to get it. I would expect you to do anything to me to get the win. And he did. He found a way. I could understand why Samoa Joe was like maybe not happy to acknowledge it, but why he did acknowledge it. Out-heeled the heel. Right, well, there we go. That was Grand Slam. AEW Grand Slam. Put in your thoughts. What did you think? Did you like it? What would you score it out of 10? What was your highlight? What was your low light? What did you think? What did you think? What was your thoughts? What did you think? Twisted ankle, baby. They've got to get rid of that damn ramp. It's the biggest heel in the game. Adam Cole hurt his leg jumping off the ramp. Do you know what? If he did. And when he landed, he seemed to have a little hobble, didn't he? And it does seem like he's still got that. If there is like a bit of an injury there, that's just more than just a little twinge or whatever. It won't be funny, but I mean, we might have just lost Moxley for a little bit. We might have just had an injury cause there to Adam Cole. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, the top end of their card is just getting decimated. Decimated. Sonny, shout out to you. Trini said, I can't rate this show. Ron said 7.5. Pankaj said 7. Trey said 635. Sonny said the thoughts within a collection of poems. Face Coaster said, I'm not a fan of the conclusion, especially MJF isn't even defending at Wrestle Dream. It's another Ring of Honor tag title defense. Here is the thing, said MJF is the biggest heel and biggest face in AEW. Gerald said if Cole got injured too, good lord. Tehil said 7.77. John said 7 injured Moxleys out of 10. 7 injured Moxleys out of 10. Eddie Kingston was the highlight. No Edge. No. 8 out of 10, very good. Guy Patterson said 1.5. Arish Mine said 7.25. Brian said 7 to 7.5. Alex said 6. Deadpool Party said 7.5. Yeah, tricky little show to score. I thought that Claudio against Eddie was good, pretty decent. I would have liked it to have been a bit more hard hitting. I'd like to have seen like some real anger, some real, verbals. Kind of felt like what we got was an 8 and I was looking for an 11. But it was a solid start. And we went to our next match, which was Jericho and Sammy. That was a little off in places, but I did like the swerve, the Sammy aligning with Don. I didn't mind that. I didn't think it was a big shock. I mean, I can't have been the only one that was watching them embrace after thinking, oh, someone's going to turn. And then it turned out to be Sammy turn on Jericho. That wasn't the big shock. For me, the big shock was Don Callis come walking down to the ring. I didn't see that coming. I don't know why I didn't see that coming. Probably because I never thought about it. But I like it. I don't mind it. I'm into it. But the match itself was so-so. It was so-so. But where I will give some praise is in the moments where I thought Sammy made himself look a bit silly, he did pay for that. In the moments where he was going for moves that I just don't think he should have been going for, high-risk moves when Jericho is not in a position where you can take those chances, he did pay for that. So I give them props for that. Moxley against Fenix, I mean, it's not the match that I was interested in, but it's got the biggest talking point. I think that might overshadow the second part of the show, is what happens in that, overshadows the second part. Everyone, well, not everyone, but there's going to be a lot of focus on why the ref didn't count the 3 internally as well as externally. There's going to be a lot of focus on like how that, Moxley got injured and like, could it have been prevented and all this sort of stuff. There's going to be a lot of fallout of that. The big talking point will be Jon Moxley after this show. So Moxley Phoenix, that was hard to score. It was had some all right moments, but by and large, was what it was. The big talking point is an unfortunate one. Toni Storm against Saraya had a few weird moments in it as well. I just wanted to see them two going at it and putting on a banger. I think maybe the best match might have been Samoa Joe MJF if you sort of take away like Adam Cole coming down and all that stuff. I mean, when Samoa Joe hits that muscle buster, that's such a great moment. I thought it was dumb. I thought there was a chance that he could have got it there, because it's right at the end of the show. Right at the end of the show. But MJF kicks out. Then, of course, we get Adam Cole come down. MJF digs deep, and, we get the screwy finish. But as I said, that probably is the best way of protecting Samoa Joe. It probably makes Samoa Joe look like he could have got it. But, MJF out-heals the heel. He out-foxes the fox. So, solid. I would say, overall, fine. Solid. I think it's lacking maybe the spectacular. We did get a new champ, but I don't know if we were meant to, with Phoenix winning. We did get a new champ with, in the first match, but we were always going to. That was title versus title. So, yeah, I'd say solid, not spectacular. I'm probably around that 7 range as well. Not a boring watch at all. Not a problem to watch. Not a chore to watch. For a show of that size, maybe just missing a bit of spectacular. But main event definitely provided some moments. MJF going through a table. MJF getting pile driven into a concrete floor. The muscle buster moment where it looked like he might get finished. So maybe a 725 actually. Maybe a 725. Not a bad night for a Wednesday. Oblong said, Moxley losing makes me think that this is an 8 to 10. Not to mention there were some good matches. Starting with the first one, it's the highest rating that I've given AEW in years. Why do a handshake at the end? They literally did the same thing with Eddie and Claudio. I don't mind it. It doesn't really affect my score in any way. I think, as I said, out-healing the heel, out-foxing. I think you've got 2 different stories, and I think that handshake is for a different reason. The first one isn't because someone outfoxed the other. It's more, do you know what? We've just gone to war there, and I'm man enough to shake your hand after it. Because there's been a real hatred there. And it'll be interesting to see what their relationship's like going forward, Claudio and Eddie. That one at the end, to my knowledge, there's not been like a long-term heat there. But MJF out-heals the heel, out-foxes the fox. It's just a little show of respect. Matches were solid, said Big Time. But for a Grand Slam, no surprises. Who can they get? Who can they get? I mean, I don't know that Dolph is out of contract. I know it got teased, but as I said, add it to the list of teases that came to nothing. Just add that to the list. So Dolph Ziggler, and Edge, we've been very vocal on this. The one that I thought had a chance was Mercedes, but maybe she's still not close to returning. Maybe she's still not close to being able to get going. So really, other than that, who are you going to get? Goldberg. Maybe you could have got Goldberg. I don't know. I don't even know how AEW fans would react. I think they would pop because it's a big name. And I think if you're an AEW fan, if you shut out all the other external noise, if you shut out that noise, you're probably just like loving it, whatever. But if you are someone that pays attention to what is being said, if Goldberg comes in, you're probably going to pop and appreciate it because that feels like some support. It feels like us. A big name is here to help us. Because it's funny, I think if you're a hardcore WWE fan, you probably want to see AEW. Well, look, if you're a fan of both, you want to see both succeed. If you're a hardcore WWE fan, you probably want to see AEW fail because you're probably not bothered about, there's a place for wrestlers to go if WWE release them. That's probably not what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, I don't want to see AEW take, away from WWE. I don't want WWE to struggle in the ratings and for AEW to get stronger. I don't want to see AEW get to a point where it's right there neck and neck with WWE. Let's kill it now before it gets to that point. If you're a hardcore WWE fan, you're only interested in that. That, I'm guessing, would be your mentality. If you are an AEW fan, you obviously want to see AEW thrive and grow and You don't want to see it just sticking around that kind of 850 in the ratings. You want to see it kicking on. You want to see Collision kicking on. So as weird as it might be that like Goldberg coming in might see positive reactions, I think that it probably would, because it's a big name. And I think AEW fans would be thinking, here's someone that can help us improve those ratings and reach out to some of those casual fans. And maybe Goldberg coming in could have got a really good reaction tonight. Maybe that was something they could have looked at. I don't know that they didn't look at it. Maybe they did reach out to it and it just isn't possible at this time or something. But yeah, I don't know. I did think tonight was going to be difficult for them to get surprises, because I just don't know what surprises are out there. Adam Cole can't jump. AEW is drowning, says Godfather's Ho. Face Coaster said, I think Tony's plan was to have Punk defend the real world championship on this show. MJF has got tag title matches on. It's unacceptable to not have a world title match on pay-per-views. WWE did this a lot before the World Heavyweight Championship. Boomer said, no one said that Edge was going to be at Dynamite. No, but there's plenty that speculated that he could. Looks like there were problems with commentary team tonight. Oh, really? Really? Why? What's the word on the street? Problems with commentary. AEW commentary. Having a look, seeing if anyone's saying anything about commentary. No, can't see any word. If you've seen anything, feel free to put it in the chat. Okay. Yeah, I just quickly had a quick search on X. I couldn't see anything. MJF will now likely not lose the belt till Full Gear in November. He will overtake Kenny Omega in 40 days as the longest champ in AEW history. He is the GOAT of AEW, said Christopher. Great stream. Let's kill a shout out to you. We need more honest refs, says Anna. The ref's middle name is Botch. There are always problems with commentary, said Travis. Well, it was not bad at all for a Friday night. I have watched some Dynamites recently that have been a struggle, and that was far from a struggle. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It certainly, for me, was, not perfect. As I said, I'm around that 7.25 range. I've listed as to why I enjoyed it. I listed as to where the slight issues were, or the things that I would have liked to have seen tweaked. I thought the crowd were quite hot. I think it looked good. Big entrance stage and the ramp, although the ramp could be a problem because plenty of injuries. Certainly Adam Cole launching himself off of it could be a problem. But yeah, plenty of talking points as well. And you know what? I appreciate that. So Killer said, I will laugh my ass off when MJF held the championship title until his contract expires and then he leaves for WWE. Alex said, you said Friday, it's Wednesday. Well, I am back on Friday. We will do something for members tomorrow. But yeah, we'll be back on Friday for SmackDown. I still don't know what I'm doing on Saturday yet. I need to have a look for that. WrestleLandy said, remember those stadium episodes of Raw in 99? Tell you what, this is a good look for them. And to do this sort of a show as well on TV does help their perception of seeming quite big. This, you could have hidden this behind a pay-per-view. But the fact that it's now out there, just for a normal show, their weekly show, it is a good look. It is a good look. Big Time said, I want both to succeed. AEW is providing a healthy alternative, but I will say as a long-term WWE fan, it pains me when your favorite players go to an opposing team. Okay, right. We are done. Appreciate the support. Hope you got some out of the show. We are back, as we said, on Friday. I will look to do some for members tomorrow, and I'm sure there'll be some on the channel tomorrow as well. I'll drop some sort of video. Maybe I'll react to the ups and downs of AEW. I'm not sure. Don't know. Don't really want to get in the habit of doing that. But this was a special show, so maybe. But we'll see. Right. Appreciate the support. Have a great evening. And hopefully I'll see you again next